Gaming news today is all about intentions. First, Marathon had a big update. More than just nerfs and buffs, they are taking aim at the new player experience, and they're doing something to encourage cooperation in the game. They're moving towards new players. Maybe even they're moving towards more PvE-minded players. Is that the goal here? We will discuss. Second, we are hearing about Xbox internal conversations about exclusives that are allegedly happening right now, and I have a theory on why they might actually start using the term exclusive again and how it will show up. Third, a game that was one of my most anticipated games this year released yesterday. We took a look at the reviews while we were also looking at the reviews for Mouse PI. I put up my review of Mouse PI for Hire. Check that out. I really enjoyed it. I played Replaced for over 2 hours, and I have to say, I was wrong. This will not be the indie media darling this year. I was immensely disappointed, and I will give you my first impressions. And yes, I really liked the demo, tweeted about how great it was, but boy oh boy did the launch version of the game really fall apart on me, and I will explain why. Now, if you're watching this later, help me out with something that we try to do every stream. We try to have a good like count, and we try to get more people subscribed to the channel. Those things are totally free. We are also trying to get to 600 paying members. So if you watch my content on a regular basis, even if you can't be here for the live shows and you want to support what I do, consider clicking join. For $5 a month, you get into my members only Discord. That is how I do this full time. I'm a fan funded channel, and I'm only able to do this because of direct viewer support. So let's get into the first one. And this one is about the Marathon update. After their weekly reset, Bungie has pushed out a significant update for Marathon, and it seems they have friendly players and new players in their targets. First, they launched the C.A.R.R.I, or the Cyber Runner Reinforcement Initiative. The goal is to help crewmates complete contract objectives as a solo runner, or exfil as a rook. You get extra commendations earned when you exfil with other players outside your crew. They said play nice now in the patch notes. They added the sort of stay together feature that allows you to stay with runners that you just successfully exfilled with by creating a new crew with them. They then said, who said you can't make friends on Tau Ceti? Well, I think the game said that up to now, and so did the community, but it seems that they want to experiment a bit with how much they can motivate people to work together. And not just work together and then betray. The only way you can actually work together in this environment or in this particular thing that they've done the update for, you have to exfil together. But they also seem to want to help out the new players as well. They have updated the Perimeter Beginner New Player map to now be a solos only map that remains available to players until seasonal level 12, so you can have a little bit more time in there to get your footing. They've also reduced the risk of encountering other players on the Perimeter Beginner map, and new and existing players under Season 12, if you're under Season Level 12, you will have access to new optional Cyber contracts tailored for the beginner experience to help with the first steps in Marathon. Now, they added this to help players understand the mechanics around Perimeter Beginner Contest. When you're in those early contexts, they want you to feel that sort of you're being eased into the game a little bit more. You can only progress these things when you're in the Perimeter Beginner or Perimeter Solos. Once you hit level 12, these contracts and the beginner map will not be accessible any longer. There is a whole host of other changes and updates to the game, buffs, nerfs, whatever. I felt that these two things were the most interesting. It seems they are attempting to address the continued feedback about the game being either too hard or unwelcoming or just lacking good on-ramps or onboarding to get into the game. With the recent record low count on the player charts on Steam of 6,597 players, it's hard to know just how much they can turn the decline around. Each week, the game has hit record lows. The 24-hour peak continues to get to record lows, and the 24-hour valley continues to hit record lows every single week. Now, their 24-hour peaks are struggling to even get over 20,000 players, and the lows are starting to drop below 10,000 concurrent players. Shroud recently said on a Drop Frames podcast about the game, he's like, listen, even if it drops to 100 concurrent players, he still thinks that PlayStation will continue funding it because there was so much sunk cost in the game already. He referenced games like High Guard and said, listen, they didn't have any money, they couldn't keep going. This game has that in its corner. His position is optimistic, but I don't know if Bungie and Sony will see it that way. Like, hey, we've got money, let's just keep throwing it at a game that is actively shrinking each week. Shroud did admit that the game was simply too hard for lots of players. This is a sentiment we've seen echoed many times, even by people enjoying the game. He also thinks, though, that over time, people will eventually see how good the game is. Now, I don't hold his level of optimism for the game. The folks who were playing it don't even seem to agree with what he's saying. The decline is something that we have to remember is a decline of engaged players who bought the game. This is not just a lack of growth from not getting new players. You're actively seeing the engaged player base shrink every single week. We're only 6 weeks into the first season. So I stand by what I said in my recent marathon upload. I think Bungie has to say something at some point. Continued complaints from players about matchmaking times will only increase. To press on with updates and patch notes, listen, that's admirable, but it might start to feel a little foolhardy if your primary problem is that the game is facing a lack of players and a frustrated remaining base that's waiting longer and longer to get into matches. So for now, it looks like Bungie is leaning towards new, as well as maybe players who want to play more friendly. The question is, will it be enough to go any further to open up this game to more players? I personally think that they're moving the needle an inch when it needs to move like an entire foot or yard. But those are just my thoughts, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can leave a comment below or make sure you're here for those live streams. So let's talk about Xbox exclusives potentially coming back. This one just recently hit. Well, the rumblings about the return of Xbox exclusive continues. In case you missed it, Jez Corden of Windows Central said on a recent podcast that he heard there are, quote, very big discussions happening about exclusives. And folks were scrolling all the way down to the bottom of the Xbox storefront, and they're finding something interesting. There's an ad for day one releases, and it says, quote, be the first to play new games like Forza Horizon 6 as well as Xbox exclusives. And listen, I get it. I understand people are hopeful and looking for clues, but Game Pass has had Xbox exclusives and still has Xbox exclusives right now. There are games like Redfall and others that have not made the jump to other consoles. But I actually have a theory on how the term exclusives might make a return, because from where I sit, Asha Sharma is doing a lot of things to win back the goodwill of the Xbox fans. So I could actually see timed exclusivity being labeled as an exclusive. There was a Matt Booty interview where he was speaking to the situation with Indiana Jones. He indicated that its timed release on PlayStation had as much to do with production as anything. So anything coming out that's not quite ready to be multiplat and could hit Xbox first, I would bet they label this as an exclusive to make it seem as though they're going back on the changes that they have made at the brand. I think one of those games will be Gears of War E-Day this year. I think this will merely be something in the way of appearance only. These will be games that are not planned as exclusive, it's just how the production shaped out. And listen, that's good for the Xbox loyal, right? You've got a really, really strong lineup this year. Having a few games that hit the Xbox first as opposed to hitting Xbox and PlayStation at the exact same time, I would say that is a win for people that have been staying on the platform. But I do not see this as a reversal of their exclusive strategy at all. Other insiders are weighing in saying there's just no going back. Their hardware plans do not seem to support going back to doing long-term exclusives. It would also be a very tough sell to shareholders and executives. There are estimates out right now that Forza Horizon 5 sold almost 6 million copies on the PlayStation 5. Now, that's not every game's going to have that level of reception. We know that, but that's a staggering amount of money for a 6-year-old game. I also think Phil Spencer already fought this fight with Satya. I think it's part of the reason why Phil is gone. He pushed for exclusives, and then Starfield set records for Game Pass, but ultimately it failed to have a net impact on their long-term Game Pass growth as well as their hardware sales. Then Call of Duty on Game Pass, another thing I really do think Phil fought for, and that's done nothing but cost Microsoft massive loss of revenue. It's driven the cost of Game Pass up to the point that even Asha Sharma is saying that the Game Pass has become too expensive. So I expect big changes to Game Pass in the coming months, as Jez Corden also said he heard they are discussing removing Call of Duty from day and date. So I expect two big things to come from all of this. First, I think a return to the term exclusive, but in a way that I think will feel somewhat superficial and not really represent a reversal of their current strategy. And second, I anticipate big changes to Game Pass with new tiers, some price changes, and maybe even removing day and date from their bigger titles like Call of Duty. But that's just what I think on the matter. I'd love to hear what you think as well. So let me give you my first impressions of Replaced, and this is one of the worst times for me to say that I was wrong about something. Well, I was wrong about Replaced, and sadly, by a lot. The trailers were so convincing, the art style and the overall vibe is a 10 out of 10. I can say after 2.5 hours with the game, it nails so many aspects, little touches with the menu and bringing up your little Walkman thing and the music and the lighting, okay? But the problem is, that's really where the excitement and the quality ends. The opening of the game is probably the most painfully slow thing that I have ever played. Large stretches of gameplay where you simply hold forward, and then large stretches of just walking around town to have extremely unnecessary and unskippable monologues from every NPC that you meet. The lack of voice acting really does hurt the game here. You spend significant amount of time just listening to like the typewriter sounds as text pops up on the screen for somebody telling you about what they need you to do or what they need help with. Now, some dialogue is skippable, but huge portions simply were not. Everything just feels very overindulgent and long for the sake of being long. If you would cut the opener of this game in half, it would still take almost an entire hour or more to get to actual gameplay where you feel like the game opens up. When I hit the 2.5 hour mark, I was finally quote unquote in the game. And that's when the platforming and the combat really showed itself to be just not good. The demo felt great because it was just a few basic fights and it was more of a mood. It was more of a vibe. Like, that's what it was selling me on. And I think those things are still fine. The earlier parts where you're doing some basic, like moving a box, climbing, hiding from lights, getting in a fight with 3 or 4 guys, all that sounds perfectly fine, and it actually plays perfectly fine. But the further you get, the worse it gets. The platforming can be super unclear. It also doesn't respond well. There'll be times where you have to like hold left or hold right in order for him to reach out in order to make a jump, and he just won't do it sometimes. And so you're not sure if you're doing something wrong. You're not sure if you're going the wrong direction. Oftentimes I was doing the right thing, but the character would not respond correctly, so I'd second guess myself. He would also just randomly stop climbing ladders like all by himself, and I thought, wait, am I being blocked? Am I being stopped by something? It was difficult to know. Then if you go beyond that and you get into some of the situations where you're trying to not be seen, the controls don't feel great, so you end up making mistakes that don't even feel like they're your fault. I would have my character like drift a teeny bit higher on the ladder than he's supposed to. He'd get seen and I'd have to do the sequence over again. It can also be hard what you're supposed to grab. It can be hard to see what you're supposed to grab. There were times where I couldn't tell if it was a ladder or a pipe, and I didn't know, so I just jumped, and it turned out I was right, which doesn't feel great. It feels like you're kind of stabbing in the dark. Then the combat becomes clear that you just don't have a lot of agency or choice. Much of the combat is just waiting for a parry or a dodge, especially when the heavy attack comes into play. There are armored enemies that must be heavy attacked in order to remove their armor. Multiple times I got stuck into a loop where I would go to do my heavy attack. Halfway through my animation, the enemy would respond by attacking me. Well, now there's nothing I can do. I'm like stuck in the animation. So it turned the fight into a massive sort of passive standoff. You just wait for them to swing, then you dodge, then you heavy attack. After almost 2 hours, it was walk here, talk to this person, walk here, talk to this person, and then I started to feel like the game was a glorified point-and-click game. Almost like I'm in a play, and I have very little agency or choice. The platforming and the fighting is basically scripted. Hit your mark, wait, parry, attack. Hit your mark, wait, dodge, heavy attack to disarm or to take their armor away. I'm immensely disappointed with how this game turned out. The trailers looked intense. It looked like it was going to be more action-focused. I'm convinced, and I've said many times, that this, I was convinced, would be the indie darling of the year, and that is clearly not happening. The review score on Metacritic is landing around like a 79, and I was disappointed when I saw that. I thought, man, just a couple of scores really pulled it down. I actually feel like that's a pretty accurate score. It's faring a little bit better on Steam. If you go to SteamDB, it's a little confusing. It's like landing in the low to mid 80s, but yesterday it started out strong. It also doesn't have a ton of scores, which to me, I'm not sure if people are really false starting on that long opening. The opening is literally about 2 hours, which is roughly the amount of time it takes before somebody can refund it. If they get really, really bored during that open, they might just decide, this isn't the game that I thought it was going to be, and they just uninstall, refund, and then their review will not be tabulated in the total. The few hundred reviews on Steam are trending positive, but with a week where games like Mouse, PI, and Pragmata are also released, Hades 2 is also now available on Xbox and PlayStation, I just can't see allotting a lot of time for this, and this was one of my most anticipated games of this year. I mean, I'll wait and see if maybe by the time it comes to PlayStation, if at all, maybe they'll have a lot of these things addressed and fixed. Because as it stands right now, the platforming and the combat just don't feel good. And in a game like this, that has to be a selling point. Right now, it's a lot of style with not a lot of substance. It's got poor gameplay. And there is substance. I mean, there's tons of people to talk to, and it really sets a very cool tone and a very cool vibe. It's just very self-indulgent and very slow. And by the time you are actually in the game and able to do anything, it just doesn't feel that great to do any of the stuff. It feels like a lot of the times you're failing because the controls or the game itself isn't running all that well. It feels clunky, as if it's not responding. I'm sort of waiting for the game to do the thing that I already know I need to do. It's just he's hesitant to reach out or to climb and stuff. It's very awkward feeling. I'm glad people are enjoying it. I'm not going to try and convince anybody to not get it. I'm just giving you my thoughts on it. It's scoring decently well in the mid to low 80s on Steam. And that could be, again, as I said, due to refunds getting removed, because that tutorial and the opening alone is roughly 2 hours. So, listen, if people are sticking with this game and then they are finding it to be enjoyable, more power to them. I had a pretty miserable and boring time with it. The rough edges of platforming and combat just made me put this one down very quickly, which makes me sad, because I was cheering for this game. I really, really thought it was going to be the indie media darling this year. With big titles like Mugenics and Slay the Spire 2, even Mouse PI is trending better and scoring better from the review outlets. I don't think this one's going to really get a whole lot of attention from the Game Awards, which I am bummed about. I'm sad to even be saying what I'm saying. Thankfully, the year is full of so many great titles that I can just divert my attention to other things. I played Hades for, about 2.5 hours yesterday and had a much better time. So, guys, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome into the show. Thank you for already 100 likes, about a 15-minute show open. I did play the demo, but the demo was very, very stripped down. You also had the gun. So in the earliest fights that are very basic, I had the gun, and it made those early fights just feel really, really good. It's like 3 or 4 dudes, nothing major. Platforming was also very, very basic in the demo. When you get into the more complex sequences of platforming, it's just very frustrating. He doesn't respond. He doesn't do what you want him to do. He gets stuck, and then you end up getting seen, or you die, or you're like, I don't know where I'm supposed to go. So you're like guess jumping and like, I don't know, missing because there's nothing there. You know what I mean? So I don't know. The demo sold me on this. I was singing its praises. I was on Twitter. I was like, oh my gosh, this game's going to be so amazing. And it's just not. You lost your red badge. You love that one? Sorry, you upgraded. But we got some people to thank. Let's get it up on the board. You guys are right on pace for the week. Han shot first, and so did you. Joker Quinn with the first gifted member of the day. Thank you for a 3-stream streak over there, Teller Morrow on the purple platform. Guys, go crazy on the likes and double check your renewals. And consider supporting the channel directly. As you see, Hotshot continuing to support the channel directly with 36 entire months. Thank you for amazing shows every afternoon. 3 years today. That is a lot of days. Thank you so much for being here and supporting the channel. And we appreciate you guys. I'm curious where you guys land on everything I just walked through. There's a lot to pick through. There's a lot to talk about. Is Xbox going to go back to doing exclusives? Is Marathon trying to get new players to have an easier time? Or are they trying to get people to be more friendly? Neo Reaper says Concord also had Sony in its corner, and Shroud hasn't played Marathon in about a month, according to his video playlist on Twitch. That's interesting. You got quoted on Sacred Symbols this week. I saw that. I really appreciated Colin giving me a little shout out there for the Hiroki Totoki interview that I kind of highlighted and clipped. It kind of made the rounds. And so I thought that was very kind of him. And I left a comment and said, hey, man, I'd love to come on the show or have one of you guys come on my show. That would be a great amount of fun. And I do have a surprise for you guys today. There is a second segment today, so stick around. That second segment is going to be about a game that's been pretty controversial, and it'll be fun. So you don't want to miss it, and I won't be alone, so stick around. You don't want to miss that. That's the second segment today. Stick here and keep hitting that like button. Xbox is having a few death twitches. That's all, says Yanadid. Let's see here. Looks like Pragmata will be the only game getting my money this week. 45 months from my man Jack Garland. We're sitting on 199. Says old school Michael Jordan has 5 words for the Xbox going exclusives crowd. I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, here's the thing about the Xbox exclusives. I don't see a path back for them. They haven't made plans that would line up with that. Their demand for their hardware is non-existent. Like they're going with a hybrid PC thing with Helix that won't be cheap. I don't see a path for them being like, let's make games exclusive, especially as PlayStation continues to grow and PlayStation continues to give them a big amount of money. Like, no one's going to want to walk away from that. Yo, what's good, X3? How are you? Jake Lucky has been way far behind on clips. The Shroud interview is from almost like a month ago. Do you want to know why Jake did that? It wasn't because of him, Rope. I'm pretty sure Drop Frames posted that more recently. I feel like it was in my feed on YouTube. I did not find that clip on Twitter, brother. They put it on It's Me JP's channel, don't they? Isn't that where they do it? I swear it was in my feed as like a clip from Drop Frames. Shroud Talks Marathon 1 day ago. It's right here. Look. It wasn't Jake Lucky that did it. It's Me JP posted on his Shorts channel. It's Me JP Shorts 1 day ago. Shroud Talks Marathon. So a lot of what Shroud was saying seemed really out of touch, which isn't really fair to him. But he was talking like in the earliest days of the game, talking about how like, oh, it seems like the numbers have stabilized, you know, and people will realize it's good. It was like, dude, you're talking 5 or 6 weeks in, and it's like, huh? I know this is awful thinking, but if Xbox is lower, hang on, I need to undeafen in the Discord. Sorry, Discord. I know this is wishful thinking, but if Xbox was lower as the console and Game Pass, Sony would too. What do you mean? Oh, like lower their prices? I don't understand what you're saying. I just saw Jake posted recently, but Shroud's opinion was right after the Cryo launch. Oh, that's what he was saying right after Cryo. Okay, so that was a couple of weeks ago that he said that then. It's been like, what, 2 or 3 weeks since Cryo? Yo, what's good, Nitro? How are you? Did you have a chance to check out Moore's Law Zed and Colin talk about Helix and PlayStation 6? Very interesting. I saw a clip making the rounds where Colin had some pretty strong words, and he says he thinks the marketing is effing embarrassing. He thinks like the Project Helix thing that they're sending out, they don't seem convinced that they're going to go back on exclusives, you know, and Colin was obviously very, very opinionated about it, and so was Tom. The other thing they were talking about, what else were they talking about? Tom's speculation about the PlayStation 6 Lite has been shot down by Kepler. Kepler's like, no, they would never do that. It would be nightmare for the devs. So that speculation has pretty much crashed on the rocks. Replaces on Game Pass. Listen, guys, Replaces on Game Pass, so try it out. You may like it. I did not like it at all. I was just immensely disappointed. It put me in a bad mood because it was like one of my most anticipated games this year. I was even considering playing it on my Xbox. That's how excited I was for it. Embarrassing, it's a bit hyperbolic. Well, I mean, yeah, I would say it's hyperbolic, but his opinion is that, like, it's embarrassing. Like, what are we doing? Or we're going to do this thing again where you have people, you know, kind of like cheering for the brand and you don't even know anything yet. You know nothing about the device. You know, I'm not going to watch the clip because it's a lot of swearing. I mean, I pulled up the clip on Twitter and, like, the first 2 seconds an F-bomb pops out. And I'm like, oh, golly. Like, I'm watching on my phone, having to, like, you know, turn it down. My Alt-4 comment aged like wine. It really did, Alex. It really did. No way Game Pass lowers the price by just removing Call of Duty. I don't think they're going to lower the price of Game Pass just because they remove Call of Duty. I think they'll remove... I wouldn't be surprised if they remove games like Call of Duty from day and date on Ultimate and slowly day and date just... I think that's just going to drift out of the frame. I just don't think they're going to continue doing it with their major releases. Imagine all the money and time spent on something like Gears of War E-Day or Forza Horizon 6 and all these games, and then you throw them on Game Pass. I think Microsoft's going to take day and date to the threshing floor and be like, what are you doing? You're giving games away that we spend so much time and energy on, and then they're going to offer like lower tier priced, you know, versions of Game Pass that'll just have less, maybe a really low tier that offers ads. I mean, we know Netflix has done that, and recently Asha met with the co-CEO of Netflix. So, you know, I could see, you know, a handful of different tiers showing up and that being a route that they take. I do think that day and date is in the crosshairs, though. I rage quit another indie darling game this weekend. Karen was enjoying it, but the period of constant rain. Oh, yeah, the section with constant rain, I had played it on easy, so I had so much stuff to basically, like, brute force my way through a couple of those sections because they were a little irritating. Make sure as you guys are coming into the show today, you're hitting the like button. Thanks so much for watching. If you're watching in the shorts feed or you're watching on the main feed, you can get involved. You can talk in the chat. We have a lot of topics this morning. We really, really do. We've got, you know, Bungie doing updates to Marathon. We've got rumors about Xbox exclusivity coming back, and I gave my impressions on Replaced. Ginger says, I think it has to for sure. My preference at this point would be that they need to add WoW or other sub-based games to Ultimate to justify the $30 price if they lower it back down to $20. Yeah, I don't know. What's Sneaky saying here? Sneaky says, check my last. Sneaky says, actually, Lono, the most interesting part of them talking was them talking about what nobody ever said, that Steam will run on the Helix. Yes. Yeah, Tom from Moore's Law is Dead. Moore's Law is Dead is basically like, why will no one ask this question? He's like, I can't find a single journalist that will ask this question. He's like, everybody's just wanting to know, like, softball questions. Matt Booty, what's the best Halo to ever Halo? And it's like, I get his frustration, but if it doesn't, and they were both in agreement on this, if Helix doesn't allow you to install Steam, it's just a dead device. Like, who in the heck wants it? So who wants a PC that's LARPing as an Xbox at that point? Like, what would be the point of the device? The part with the constant rain is easy. Just make sure you have Karn set regularly, so whenever you pass out of hunger and cold, you respawn there with full stats. What's a surprise today? You'll have to wait. I have a second segment today, and it's about a game that got a little controversial, and I will be joined by a guest, and you guys will really appreciate it. This is just what confused directionless Xbox needed. More confusion about direction. Ginger's was a two-parter. That would be cool, he says, but ultimately they need to take day and date out of it. Then I don't know why it would be subbed in the first place. Oh, if they need to take day and date out of it. Well, this is what's going to happen. I think they're going to take day and date out of it. They'll not be putting big titles on it anymore, day and date, and then they'll lower the price of Ultimate, and then they're going to offer like an ad tier or something. That would be my assumption. Nick, shut up, Nick. Set up layup membership incoming. Helix is just a pre-built PC with an Xbox logo. A neutered PC is pointless. That's what I'm saying. And a single gifted comes in from Skillful, and there it is. There it is. There's the 200. We're just sitting on 199 all morning. All right, you guys are on pace. You guys are on pace. You guys did not get the goal last week, so now's your opportunity to hit it again this week. We should really go for stretch and try and make Madam play something this week. I think that'd be really, really fun. I still have an idea, I should say, on how to sweeten the deal if you guys hit stretch and stream with Madam and I can stream something for you. And there's the one that I owe you for the 200. Twitch, I still owe you guys like 3, so once you get it to 5, I'll drop a 5 over there. It's more expensive to do signals over there, and it's annoying. If it's a PC, you can install Steam. If you can't install Steam, it isn't a PC. Right. I'm so confused. And I get where Moore's Law is coming from. He's like, why will nobody ask the question? Right? I wonder if the question's off the table because they don't want that to become the focal point of the device. That, like, I mean, I've said this numerous times. My interest in the Helix is not for Xbox and not for Microsoft. My interest in the Helix is for another storefront entirely. Day and Date's about to get the axe. That's the only way to lower the price. Has she played Dead Space? Why would we have her play Dead Space? Yo, X3 Privet, I'm not sure what you're doing. I only speak English. So if you want to contribute here, you're going to have to do that. You followed me today. You literally followed me moments ago and you're just talking another language. That's usually a sign that you're not here with, like, intentions to engage with me. What's good, Feed? I see you in the chat. I got Atsu's voice actress. No, I do not have Erika Ishii today. People use Game Pass for the day and date. It'll lower the MAU on it. You know what's interesting? You know what's really interesting? You guys know how many times Creature has said that he thinks Xbox wants you gone. That's exactly what Colin Moriarty said when he did the podcast with Moore's Law is Dead. He's like, I think they're just trying to offload people. That's what he thinks. He's like, yeah, they're just trying to offload people. They're trying to get people off the platform, off the sub-services. Yep. No, it's not Jaffe. If it's full Windows with no limitations, then I don't see it as a console. Calling the Helix a console is basically calling a Windows Surface a console. Which is better than Xbox or PC? I mean, it depends on what you want to do. Better is defined by the user. Like, you might think it's better to buy a Switch 2 because that's what you're looking for and that's what you need. There are people who might think it's better to get a Series S, a PlayStation 5 Pro, or a $3,000 PC. It's dependent upon what you want from the device. There's not one thing that is the best. Please don't say you have Gaz on. I won't be able to control myself. No, I am talking to Gaz, though, so there could be a potential time in the future where he shows up. That's a really good reason for you guys to be here every day. You don't know what's going to happen. We're done telling you. I'm done telling you what's coming. We're just going to keep surprising you with guests and yesterday's review and fun segments. So stop trying to guess and just enjoy the conversation that we're having now. Zubair says, if you have $6,000 to spend, get a PC. Yeah, if you just can drop $6,000, you just have a ball. Won't PC get moved to Ultimate when Helix comes out? Well, listen, there's another thing you've got to consider here is that the PC version still has day and date for like 11 or 12 bucks or something. Like the road to Helix, they are going to make significant changes because I don't think they want that anymore. I don't think it's in Microsoft's interest to let you get their big, huge games the day they come out on a subservice. I don't think so. I don't think that's in their best interest anymore. You spend all this time and money on Gears of War and Fable and State of Decay 3 and Forza 6 and just here you go. It's day and date. I have a computer for 2,000 rubles. It's a little weak. More precisely, I don't know what any of that stuff is. This is not a place to come for tech advice on what to buy or what you have. That's completely out of my frame, brother. Is the guest my dad? I've been looking for him for 20 years. No, I tried to call him, and he basically said that he still hates you. I'm kidding. He didn't pick up the phone. He's probably dead. Hey, Siri, play Patiently Waiting by 50 Cent. There it is. No, oh my gosh, no. My freaking phone. No, stop it. My phone responded to that. It thought I wanted to do that. My algorithm's going to be so messed up now. It's going to be like, yeah, this white boy really likes 50 Cent. Okay, just out of nowhere. He's in a dark place. Do you think we're getting Helix reveal at the June showcase? I'll tell you what they're going to do at the June showcase. I already know because I've already seen it. Yeah, I've already seen it. You're like, how have you already seen it, Lono? Well, you see, you can travel to the future by going to the past. And all you have to do is go back to 2019. And I want you to go to E3. And I want you to watch the Project Scarlet marketing with like zoom in on hardware and Phil Spencer and people sitting in like a black studio environment. And they're like, the next piece of hardware is going to be the most ambitious thing that we have ever created. Here at Microsoft, the most important that's what you're going to get. You're going to get that. They're just going to swap the name to Helix. The interviews will be very similar. The claims will be very similar. You are going to get a Project Helix trailer like that this summer, I bet. Yesterday's show with Mag was fun. Thank you. It wasn't yesterday. It was 2 days ago. I hopefully you're feeling all right. $2 from Buttery Cheeks. Is Lono's secret guest Will Powers? No, it's not. It's not Will. He still has me blocked on Twitter. How dare I ask for console footage and criticize not getting it? What a terrible, toxic thing I did. If the Helix is a PC, have we heard any word on if it's upgradable? We have not heard any word on if it's upgradable. We've seen this before. Yeah, that's what they're going to do. Right out of their playbook. It's going to be just like the Project Scarlet marketing. It'll be generic and a bunch of interviews with people, and homie with the ZZ Top beard's going to show up and talk about how they're focused on making a synergistic system or something. I don't know. Who cares? All I care about is how strong it is, what's the price, when it's coming, and can I put Steam on it? The secret guess is Colt Eastwood. It is not Colt Eastwood. No. Joker Quinn with the $5 super chat says, knowing Xbox, they'll market us to Helix. And when it ships, it'll be the Series S in a box. No, it won't be that. Guys, if you're just tuning in, keep hitting that like button. We're at almost 200 likes. We're only about 30 minutes into the show, man. Great start. There's so much to talk about. You do not have to stay on one of the topics. Marathon's big update is leaning towards more friendly players and new players. Is it going to be enough? The numbers looking bad every week. Xbox, are they going to go back to exclusives? We're hearing they're talking about it. I have my own theory I put out there this morning about how I think exclusives as a word will come back. Right? And then we also talked about my first impressions of Replaced, which I was very disappointed and I uninstalled it. I'm very, very not happy with it. I'd kill for a Crimson Desert discussion between Lono and Luke Stevens. I mean, I tried to reach out to Luke a while ago with DMs on Twitter, because he was critical of my content once. I didn't think it was very fair or very charitable, and I was willing to be like, hey, I'll overlook this. Let's do a show or something. DMing on Twitter is a disaster now. It's so hard to get people's attention. It's so hard to network. The Marathon boys are not happy with the update, it would seem. What's the Marathon people saying? My money says this update pushes more people away than it draws new people in. Yeah, I said in the show open that they needed to move an inch. I'm sorry, they need to move like a foot, maybe a yard, like the needle, and they moved an inch. Yeah, I got my refund. Yeah. Listen, Replaced is one of those games that could have a good 2.0 moment. It really could, but as it sits right now, I'm like, I think this is a skip. I think the platforming and the combat alone, they're just grating. They're just not enjoyable. And it takes too long to even get to the game itself. The update is good. I'm loving the update. So Ginger and TJ say the update's good. I'm a Marathon boy. It's definitely a welcome change. Well, we got some Marathon folks here that think that the Marathon update's a good thing. I still think they're moving the needle an inch when it needs to move a whole foot. It's not going to be. It's not going to be. This is the dilemma I think that they're facing. Okay, this is the dilemma that I think Bungie is facing. If they do things too tectonically, too seismically, you're going to disrupt the game and tick people off, and you're going to lose identity, and then you're dead anyway. Like at that point, it's over. Like you're going to be in a bad way, right? And so that I think is why they're moving slow. But I also think it's clear they're moving towards what many of us have said they need to do. I think they're going to move ever so slowly to being like, we think it's okay to have a mode where PvP is turned off. We think it's okay to have maps and loot pools where PvP is turned off. I think that's where they're headed. I think the inch It's a game of inches, right? And I know you guys tell yourself that, when you're in the shower, but it's a game of inches. And anyways, it is. It's a game of inches. If they move too much, everyone's going to get mad and be like, "What are you doing?" And somebody in the Discord said yesterday they're probably trying to die with dignity. If the game's not going to make it, they don't want to go down swinging pathetically and looking like, "Whoa, it's free and it's PvE," and then people are going to be like, "Why did you do this? It's not going to work anyway." This person here says, "I really want to play Marathon, but I don't know if I have the patience to be bad at it long enough to get good at it." I think that's concisely stated. Yes, I don't see Marathon surviving. Well, and this is the thing, okay? I would say that what's this? Hang on a second. Pictures of Jason Momoa are distracting in the Discord almost instantly, and so is gameplay. Of Sorrows. What the frick? Are you guys seeing this? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It's so good. Inject that into my veins. It is so much movement. All that verticality and jumping and agility, and give it to me now. I can't wait. It looks so good. It looks so dadgum good. I wonder if they have a Marathon pivot master plan that they're holding on and getting it all into place. Yeah, I do. I think that they can't do too much too quickly, but I think they're facing two challenges. If they do things too quickly, then they irritate the existing player base. If they do things too slow, then you won't have a player base. Like, I think they're just staring down. It's a double barrel shotgun, and one of the barrels is just going to take your face off. I mean, that's pretty grotesque, but I think that's what they're facing. They're staring straight face at an execution. I don't know. I don't think they can act fast enough. The player numbers are just going to get too low, and then the game won't function. You know what I mean? Listen, if you're like, oh, but we're doing this and we're doing that, and we have content in seasons, it doesn't really matter if concurrent numbers get so low that like people are like, yeah, it's just I can't play. I'm already getting comments from people that are like, I like the game, I'm having fun with the game. I can't get into matches. It takes too long. If you guys are just tuning in, thank you so much for being here. Make sure and hit the like button. If you've never been here before, I keep it safe for work. We're talking about gaming news. We're talking about the Marathon update. We're talking about my impressions of Replaced. They're not great. I'm disappointed. It was one of my most anticipated games. We have also been talking about the Xbox return to exclusives rumors that we're hearing. And we're having a bit of a bump right now, so I'm not sure where you're coming from, if you're finding me or you were sent here, or I don't know what's going on. Sometimes we get put on like a runner, so welcome in. I appreciate you being here. Many people treat this show like a Safe for Work podcast or radio show throughout their week about gaming news, so consider subscribing and consider hitting the like button. The biggest issue with Marathon is the lack of future content coming post-wipe. Well, I mean, we don't really know what the future content is post-wipe. They haven't spoken to that. Getting into matches is still working for me, says Dudeness. If you play during normal hours, I don't think it's a problem. I'm getting comments from people that are either in smaller regions or they play in the off-peak times, and they're like, it's terrible. It's just absolutely terrible. One of the rumors is it Gears? Well, the exclusive rumors for Xbox started with Gears of War E-Day from none other than Tim Dog. Tim Dog, you're a wild man. You're a wild man, Tim Dog, and we've had good conversations before. I spoke with him on the phone once for about 45 minutes, and he's a little wild, but I like him. And he was the one that started the rumor that like Gears of War E-Day would be a timed exclusive. Now we're hearing from Jez Corden that there are some pretty serious talks going on internally at the company that they're considering exclusives. So here's my theory on what they're going to do. Okay, here's what I think they're going to do. I think they're going to start using the phrase or the term exclusive again. I think they're going to give it a little bit of a resuscitation. So they're going to bring it back. It is purely going to be cosmetic. It is not going to be a genuine exclusive. It's going to be things that were timed from production. Like, I think Gears of War E-Day isn't quite ready for PlayStation, so it'll come to PlayStation, 6 months later or whatever, and they'll call it an exclusive. I think that's what's going to happen. Matt Booty spoke to this. He did an interview specifically about this topic, and he was speaking about Indiana Jones. And when he was speaking about Indiana Jones, he said that it coming to PlayStation later, it was as much a production reason as anything. Like, it wasn't just like we really want to do a timed exclusivity deal. It was literally because of production. So I think anything's on a production timeline like that, you know what I think they're going to do? They're going to be like, just ship it to Xbox first. That's fine. And then use the word exclusive. You guys are saying that Tim Dog has lost his mind. He admitted on Grindhouse he doesn't even play games, and he doesn't care. You can't take him serious. I mean, I don't think it's that important for a person like him to play games if he's getting information and continuing to talk about the gaming industry. I don't think that that's necessarily a problem. I wish him all the best. He seemed like he got a little low there sometimes, but I hope he's doing okay. I think sometimes this industry can get to people. Let's see Cool Spoon's comment. Cool Spoon says the biggest issue with Marathon is that it's not Kirby Air Riders. Listen, Cool Spoon. You gotta let Kirby Air Riders go, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, get the tattoo and move on with your life. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we can't keep doing this thing every single day. We can't keep doing this thing every day, bro. You can't come in here and keep doing this, okay? It's bad for all of us. Marathon just needs to accept that people want the loot because it drastically changes the game, but it's not worth putting up with the punishments to get there. I can't remember the last time I saw him talk about the way a game played, so why is it surprising he doesn't play them? He talks industry, not games. Yeah, he also clearly has contacts and people to tell him things. So, Listen, I was just giving you guys a timeline on what happened. I don't need everybody to chime in with your own personal like or dislike for Tim Dog. Like, that's not the reason, that's not the conversation that we're having today. Like, every time I mention someone, we don't need everybody to chime in to grade them on a scale of 1 to 10 and how much you like them, okay? We're going to be doing shows and content with lots of different people going forward. I'm in the background shaking a lot of hands right now, and there's just no reason to be that way, all right? If you don't like somebody, keep it to yourself. If you don't have anything nice to say, then you don't need to say anything at all. I was just giving you a timeline of like, well, Tim Dog said what he said about Gears. Jez is now saying what he's saying about like hearing conversations internally, and I'm here to tell you, the phrase did show up again. There's the screenshot of where it says, enjoy Forza 6 as well as other Xbox exclusives on Game Pass, right? There are Xbox exclusives right now on Game Pass. Like, I don't necessarily think that's like that's a huge pivot. There are exclusives right now. I won't tell anyone I don't like you, sorry. Listen, that's the facts. That's the facts. Most of you here right now, most of you don't like me. That's just the relationship that we have, okay? And listen. Just like the guy says in Star Wars, I don't like you either, okay? I've got the death sentence in 6 systems. Like, I don't like you either, okay? This is the relationship that we have. Get over it. We all hate each other. F you, I'll see you tomorrow, okay? Let's just trudge on with the show. You like me? You're lying, Hilly. You're a liar, Hilly. You don't like me. In any case, I think that it's showing up again is purely cosmetic, boys. It's just cosmetic. It's going to be the most superficial use of the term ever. They are not going back. They're not. We have to go back, Kate. They're not going back. There's no way back. They've gone too far. I love Marathon, and you're my favorite doomsdayer to watch for it. You followed me 2 minutes ago. I believe you. I'm all for the game being more accessible and respecting your time, but some people just need to keep playing their baby-safe video games. You know what, dudeness? I tell you, you're right. You're right. All those people that play games like, what was the really popular game that came out with the multiplayer and it sold really well, and even in spite of not having cross-play and voice comes. Oh, yeah, that's right. Elden Ring Night Rain. Yeah, that's definitely a game for babies. Yeah, you're right. That one. You had Valorant and CSGO. These are all games for babies. Yep, highly competitive, difficult, challenging games. Did Replace suck? It was incredibly disappointing. Yes, I was very much let down. I thought the demo was freaking awesome. the game itself is just not, it's just not good. I mean, it's getting a decent score on Steam, but like there's like hardly any reviews. I think a lot of people are refunding it. I don't know. It's like a 7. It's like to me it was a weak 7. I thought it was going to be the indie darling. I was 100% wrong. It is mostly style. And boy, do they nail the style. I mean, man, oh man. If they could have only matched the style with the gameplay is not at the caliber of what the game looks like at all. Is it one of those things people reviewing the hype as opposed to what it is? No, it's got like a 79 on Metacritic. I mean, it's got a lot of people that took issues with things that I ran into. I was like, I remember reading the reviews, and they were talking about the controls and the platforming, and they were talking about the, the pacing. And I got into the game, and after 2.5 hours, I was like, yeah, this game kind of sucks. I was pretty disappointed. You need to contact Luke by email. Okay, I'll reach out. We're literally on a tour right now, just trying to have people on the show or go on their show. That's what we're doing right now, and it's been really, really fun to have so many people, respond positively and be willing. And we're hoping even more people decide to do it. And then you guys benefit because we get to make more fun content for you. I'd love to see the Windows Store exclusives. It'll be hilarious. Ask again, have you noticed that more third-party devs are using Xbox Marketplace since the leadership change? Your thoughts on that? Have I noticed that? I don't pay any attention to that, to the Xbox. You're saying, using Xbox marketing? What do you mean? Do you have examples? Those would have been deals agreed to a long time ago, brother. That might be pure happenstance. A lot of times if like marketing starts hitting now, those deals were agreed to like last year. The Helix will have to be a game changer, says the Malice one, and will have to be where the best version of any console game can be played in order to pull games away from other platforms if they want to bring back exclusives, my opinion. Yes, Replace was like the pixel art cyberpunkian side-scroller game. The Metro 2039. So let me think. So your question is, do I think that more third-party devs are going to use the market? My thoughts on that. So I outlined a theory with Mag on Monday at What's Going On There, Snakebite. The Random Partner Showcase. So, in times past, if you wanted a game to come onto Game Pass, you had to compensate that developer and publisher to bring the game to Game Pass because you knew it will create a diminishment of sales, right? I think the new focus for Xbox is they are really trying to push this Play Anywhere thing, okay? They really want Play Anywhere to be on games, and they want to be able to say Play Anywhere on games that are also not their own. What I think Metro 2039 is, the thing that we're going to be covering tomorrow, I think that's how Xbox is going to get people to agree to Play Anywhere. They're going to be like, listen, if you come on Play Anywhere, we'll throw some marketing your way. We'll do a debut. We'll do a showcase. We'll do a what have you. Because how else are you going to get a developer or a publisher agree to Play Anywhere? Play Anywhere is antithetical to what a publisher and developer wants. A publisher and a developer wants to sell as many copies of their game as friggin' possible. Play Anywhere is literally a motivation for somebody to not do that. Buy it once and you never have to buy it again. Like, oh yeah, I can buy it here and I can play it over there and I can play it over there. I don't have to buy it more than once. Maybe my sister wants to play it. Maybe my wife or my brother or my husband wants to play it. I don't have to buy it twice. I've got Play Anywhere. Play Anywhere is not going to be an easy thing to convince developers that they want to do because it goes against what they're trying to do. They're trying to sell as many copies as possible. And you might be like, oh, it's not that many. Dude, for some developers, 200,000 people, roughly, let's just say 300,000 people are like, yeah, I guess I don't have to buy this twice. I was going to buy it twice, and now I don't have to because of Play Anywhere. That could be the difference between a game, hitting the number they need to hit and not hitting it. I mean, you motivate enough people to, not buy it twice. People like when you buy their games twice. They like when you buy it in Steam and PlayStation. That's good for them. So that's what I think that is. Yo, Kitsch GG, thank you for 5 months over there on Purple. It's the first Purple sub of the day. Hilly says, Play Anywhere is complete lies. They haven't added Halo Master Chief Collection. I own Diablo 4. I can play it on Steam. No, it's a different license. They haven't done it with their own stuff. Diablo 2 is a separate license. Play Anywhere doesn't mean that you're going to own it in the Steam storefront, Hilly. Play Anywhere means you got to engage with the Xbox ecosystem in order to access your game. It's not going to give you access to it in Steam. I'd buy more games if they had cross-save more often. Yeah, cross-save would be nice. It would be nice. Zombie, thank you so much for using your Prime over there on Purple and bumps the line to 202. I appreciate it so much. What percentage of people are buying a game multiple times? Doesn't seem like a lot. That's why I said, even if it's 200 to 300,000 people. Yeah, it's not about the number. It's about the idea of going to the market. I want you to think about how publishers are motivated, sir. Just think about publishers. Do you think a publisher likes the idea of telling the customer, yep, buy the game once? Just imagine you're a third-party publisher and you're getting ready to publish your game. And Xbox comes to you and is like, we would really like it to be a buy one-time thing. Like if they buy it from us and they don't have to buy it again. And you're like, wait, why would we do that? We have people that own multiple systems in their homes. There are people that own Switches and PlayStations and PCs. And you're trying to give them a way to buy the game one time? Like what? Is Mouse PI available on PSN yet? It's still his wish list. You know what's going to happen? It's going to become available at the launch window, which is weird. I don't know why games do that. I really don't. My prediction is that they will work out a Bloodborne remake or a sequel closer to when the movie comes out. Oh, you guys are talking about the Bloodborne thing? Play Anywhere is the ugly cousin of the subscription model. It's just one more thing that they're making central to the brand that I think is completely antithetical to what developers want. Developers do not want the consumer told you only have to buy the game one time. Also, I want you to think about something. There's been a lot of complaints from people about how bad and glitchy games are through the service. Like, do you really want to be... What was the game recently that everybody was complaining about? They couldn't play the dadgum game through, like, the Xbox store or something. What was that? That happened, like, a week or two ago. Yeah, and it says, no, but if the majority weren't going to buy it more than once, Play Anywhere could be a net positive. It would make sense for Rockstar to do that, but a smaller studio, I don't know. There's two sides to the blade, Yanadid. For a smaller studio, it could be the difference between another couple 100,000 people buying your game and not. Because they're like, well, I was going to buy it twice because, I had somebody who was wanting to play it and I was wanting to play it in the home or what have you. Do you see what I'm saying? We know companies want to sell as many copies of their game as possible. And we know that Play Anywhere is a way to buy less copies of the game. And so the point of the discussion is this. If we get lost in the minutia of how many people might buy it once versus twice and da-da-da-da-da, we don't know that. What we do know is Xbox is going to have to bring something to the table. You're literally asking for somebody to make their game hitch its wagon to the marketing of Xbox. That's what you're asking. A single gifted from Highlander. Thank you so much. Let me add it to the total. Oh, yeah. Go ahead and run out there and tell everybody this is a Play Anywhere game. So they've got to come to you and use your ecosystem to play our game and they can play it anywhere. Not everybody's going to want to do that. If you're going to do that, you're going to want money or some level of compensation. You're not just going to agree to that kind of a marketing deal. Where's Judas? Any news on that game? No, Highlanders Grim. I've not seen or heard a thing about Judas. Maybe we see it this summer because it's been so long. Do you see what I'm saying? It's not a matter of, how many copies are they actually missing out on? It's that a developer and a publisher is going to want to be compensated in some way to basically agree to Play Anywhere. They're not going to be like, oh, that's fine. Yeah, go ahead. Put us in your system. Put us in your marketing funnel. Steam, PS5, and when it comes out for Switch later, I'll buy it then too if it's a game that I want to play handheld. There are plenty of people out there that are buying games more than once, and there's not a developer or publisher alive that would be like, yeah, that's fine. Pearl Abyss didn't have an issue going Play Anywhere, did they? I don't think you're listening to what I'm saying. I'm going to try and say this one more time. Listen to what I'm saying, Jack. They will have to be compensated if they're going to do Play Anywhere. So somebody asked me about the Metro First Look thing tomorrow, and I said, I think that's Xbox saying, if you agree to Play Anywhere, we'll throw some marketing behind your game. You're like, well, they didn't have a problem with it. I didn't say that everybody's going to say no. You're shadowboxing. I'm saying if they're going to say yes, they're going to be compensated in some way, bro. They're going to be compensated. You're not going to agree to Play Anywhere for $0 from Xbox. You're not. You're going to be compensated in some way. Maybe it's marketing. Maybe it's a showcase of some sort. State of Play announcement today. I don't know. People might have misfired. Somebody was saying that the one guy misfired, and he thought that the Metro thing was a state of play. I don't know why he would think that. Play Anywhere and Game Pass both need to be paid upfront millions because it affects sales. That's exactly right. Look it up. What would you like me to look up? Make an argument. I'm not going to go and do your research for you, man. If you're going to come in here and make a claim, look it up. They were not compensated. So how can you prove they weren't compensated? That would be a contractual deal where they were paid money or given some kind of marketing or given preferential treatment in the store or something. You don't agree to Play Anywhere and get zero compensation. Ask Google if Pearl Abyss was compensated. So you think there's a concrete claim out there that they were not compensated. So Pearl Abyss and Microsoft has officially stated on the record there was zero compensation. There was no marketing, no trailers, no preferential treatment or placement on the storefront, none of that. It literally says they were not compensated. You're going to AI. You're one of those. Do better research. If they don't speak specifically to it, you can't make that claim. AI says it. Just because there's no evidence, there's no public evidence for any of these things, brother. Clearly, Metro 2039 is in some kind of an agreement with Microsoft. It's a Play Anywhere game, and they're doing some kind of a thing tomorrow, right? They're doing a first look tomorrow. There's clearly a contractual agreement there of some sort that, like, hey, we want you on Play Anywhere, and this is what we're willing to do to get you there. There's no way. You can't put somebody on Play Anywhere without a contractual agreement, homie. It gets baked into the EULA. The end-user license agreement of these games have got to be amended and adjusted if there's any kind of Play Anywhere or cloud play available on a game. There has to be some level of agreement between Pearl Abyss and Microsoft. They didn't just do it. You can't do that with somebody's game without their permission. It has to be agreed upon. Microsoft needs to focus on making great games. Enough of the marketing crap. They need better quality control on their titles. I mean, if they can't nail this year, then, I mean, there's no hope. There's no hope. They have so many games coming out this year. If they can't nail this year and have really good releases this year, then it's over. I mean, come on. They have so many games coming out. What company publicizes their marketing contracts? That's what I'm saying. Like, it's obvious there are agreements between these companies. They didn't just say, hey, can we do it? Yeah, sure, go ahead. And like zero compensation, zero money exchanges hands. No, that's something you're going to be compensated for. If you're going to go on Game Pass, if you're going to go on Play Anywhere, there is going to be an agreed upon contract and some measure of compensation. That compensation could come in a variety of ways. Trailers, showcases, maybe just being included in the Xbox showcase. There could be preferential treatment on the storefront. There could literally just be money. Yeah, we'll pay you X amount of dollars. Because any company worth their weight in salt is going to say, if you put us on Play Anywhere, there's going to be a percentage of consumers that only buy the game once instead of buying the game twice. And we want to be compensated for that. Anything that affects sales. Think about it from this perspective. Going on Play Anywhere is in the best interest of Microsoft and Xbox. It's not in the best interest of your game. That doesn't do anything for you. You're just hitched to the wagon of Xbox's ecosystem and marketing. That's not like, oh, yeah, that's so great. Lack of evidence is not evidence of lack. Yes, just because I can't provide you with evidence right now doesn't mean that there's not evidence of agreements between these companies. I think it's a very reasonable assumption that if you go onto Game Pass or you go onto Play Anywhere, there is some measurement of a contractual agreement that is binding and has also got some measure of compensation baked into it. I think that's a very reasonable presumption. I'm not presuming something insane here. I'm not like claiming secret exclusivity deal or something. I'm saying, yes, if you're going to go on Game Pass or Play Anywhere, there's going to be an agreement with Xbox where you're probably being compensated in some measure. Because it literally grates against everything we know. By the way, I don't know if you guys saw this report or not, but if chat activity is high and you're contributing to a chat and you're contributing to a stream, it's more likely that you won't get interruptions. I'll just say that. So if you guys go crazy in the chat right now, high chat activity can help with that. That was recently a report put out there by folks measuring and gauging things for live streams on YouTube. So, go a little crazy every once in a while. YouTube, just say hello, good morning, or talk about the topic. Early 2026, Pearl Abyss was not compensated by Microsoft for making Crimson Desert a Play Anywhere title. Instead, Pearl Abyss reportedly refused a paid time-exclusive deal from Sony. Those are completely unrelated. You don't seem to be understanding the conversation. You think you can go to Google and the AI. You know what AI is going to do? AI is going to do a data crawl and a data scrape of the internet to see if there's any evidence of compensation. There won't be. These contracts aren't public. You're out of your depth. You don't understand what you're talking about. You do not understand what you're talking about. We don't know how much anybody's been compensated for being on Game Pass. We don't know. We have zero idea how much anybody. Dr. Pimp, thank you for 38 months. Let me add you to the total. 38 months. It's been a great ride and ready for more. So what's your take if you care about the Avatar movie getting leaked? I have no idea what you're talking about. Pearl Abyss decided to self-publish, believing it would be more profitable in the long run and allow them to release on Game Pass, allow them to release the game on Xbox, PC, and potentially other platforms. Right. Again, you're out of your depth. The AI is scraping articles about PlayStation seeking a timed exclusivity deal with Crimson Desert, and you're using that as evidence that they don't have any kind of a deal with Xbox. Homie, you are all the way out of your depth. You're at the bottom of the deep end of the pool, and you're drowning. If you do Play Anywhere, you enter an agreement with Xbox. That is a fact. You do not just put a game on Play Anywhere because they feel like it. You enter into an agreement. There is a contract. There is licensure adjustments. There is end-user license agreement adjustments when a game can be cloud streamed or when a game goes on Play Anywhere. These are things that must happen when the game is available in those places. You have to understand, the licensure itself has to be amended to essentially be transferable between places. If I buy it on my Xbox, I can now play it on the Xbox storefront on my PC or through the cloud on my television or my phone. That's a licensure amendment. They've got to go in and change the licensure to allow that to happen. They entered into an agreement with Xbox in order for Play Anywhere to happen. You don't do that haphazardly. You don't do that with like a nod and a wink. And it is very, and I mean very likely, that you will be compensated for being on Play Anywhere. Microsoft is apparently offering developers a higher revenue share for the first $1 million in sales, provided they optimize their titles for the Microsoft Store and support Play Anywhere feature. The new incentive program aims to increase the appeal of its own ecosystem compared to Steam and PlayStation. And that would be considered a checkmate. If we were playing chess, that's a checkmate. So now we have reports claiming that there is an incentive to go on to Play Anywhere. They'll give you a better split on the revenue. That's literally you being compensated monetarily for doing Play Anywhere. Why? Because you're going to sell less copies of the game. No one's doing Play Anywhere and not being at some level, at some measure, compensated. They're going to do it because why else would you agree? Xbox, Microsoft has to give a motivation to the company to do Play Anywhere. You're literally saying you don't have to buy the game more than once. Come on, man. You're pulling us down into the minutia of the argument. The point of the argument and the point of the question was, this is what I was asked. Do you see third-party companies working more with Xbox in the marketing, given this thing this week, this first look at the new Metro game tomorrow? We will be covering that tomorrow, okay? And I said, I think you're going to start to see that, and that's how Xbox is going to get people to agree to play anywhere. They're going to sweeten the deal. Oh, hey, we'll do a showcase. Oh, hey, we'll do a first look. Oh, hey, we'll do a trailer. Or what we're hearing reported here in the Discord by Paul, an article stating there's an incentive program to do play anywhere. We'll give you better revenue share on the game. You're a third-party game, and we'll give you better revenue share. So your per-unit sales, you're going to make more money on the Xbox platform. That's a monetary form of compensation to do play anywhere, which is literally what I said was likely going on. I heard the Metro devs are doing this without compensation. Would you search Google? Anything in the world is given for free. Right. Listen. This has been the dilemma with Microsoft's plan since the beginning of Game Pass to now. The dilemma is they do things inside of gaming that are antithetical to the business model, and then they have to coax developers to be involved with money. It's like a perpetual bucket that you can't put enough money into. Crimson Desert could have the worst Metacritic score of any Game of the Year nominee ever. I don't think it's going to get up there, personally. I don't think so. Why would you agree to that on such a small install? That's a great question, Jeffrey, and I'll tell you why you would agree to it. Let me explain. Imagine your projections that you're going to sell 200,000 units on Xbox, and you're going to sell most of your units on PlayStation and then Steam. Okay, PlayStation leads most games purchases. Like, you look at any sales report, you look at any of the numbers. It is a very, very common theme to have PlayStation leading the charge in quantity of sales, okay? That's not a flex. These are just the facts. So when you're doing your projections as a studio and a publisher and a developer, and you're like, well, we're only going to sell like 200,000, somewhere between 200,000 and 350,000 units on Xbox, okay? If Xbox comes to you and says, hey, if you do play anywhere, we'll give you a better revenue split on every unit sold on our platform. And you're like, oh, well, you know what? That just makes us more profitable on the smaller amount of units we're selling over there. Every unit sold is now generating a little bit more revenue than it would have previously, right? Like, that's the issue, is that if you're that is exactly why I said you're going to have to compensate people. You're the smallest fish in the pond. You have the smallest install base, the smallest potential sales, and you're asking people that come to your platform, hey, can we make you a part of our program where the people only have to buy the game once? So 30-something million consumers on Xbox are being motivated to buy the game one time instead of maybe twice, or maybe on Steam in addition to their Xbox. Does that make sense? You're the smallest group. You're the smallest fish in the pond. Yo, what's good? Shoot, you're always changing your dadgum name. It's like Nelson? What's your name? You're not Gritter. You're not Gritter. I always forget your name. You're really sweet. We've DM'd a bunch of times. Warrior of Light. I forget your name now. The name that you used to go by. You changed your name on me too much. I'm getting too old. I'm getting too old for this. I'm getting too old for all these name changes. Microsoft has to pay because it doesn't make sense to release there otherwise. Well, I don't think it doesn't make sense to release there. You're not going to just completely... I used to be ML Nelson. I knew it was Nelson. Yo, Keeg the Geek, thank you so much for coming in, getting us to 205. We are exactly a 20 bomb away from, what's the next milestone? 225. Thank you so much, Keeg. Missed you. Thank you, brother. So, this has been the fundamental problem, is that the way that Microsoft approaches these studios and these publishers and these third-party relationships is you've got to throw lots and lots of money at them, because you're literally making your platform and the centrality of your brand You're making Geritol. That's what it was, Nelson. You were Geritol. You're making your platform really unappealing to developers and publishers. It's like, hey, not only are we, like the small fish in a pond, we got a really, really small install base. Not only that, also, we've got this thing that we're doing called Play Anywhere, where when they buy the game on their Xbox, they don't have to buy it ever again. They can now just go play it anywhere they want to play, obviously with the exception of, like, they can't go play on, like, PlayStation or Nintendo or something. But they could play on a remote play device, on a cloud device, on their television, on their phone, on their PC. So that's what I think tomorrow's all about. Basically, is Xbox didn't have Microsoft's money behind it, they would have folded a long time ago. Probably. Standing on their own, I don't think. I think the blade cuts both ways. I think Xbox on its own would have potentially pushed out better games and better hardware if Microsoft wasn't in the driver's seat. Yeah, I remember all the clips you made, Keeg. Every once in a while I see those clips on Twitter. Yeah. Yeah, the SNTR Alexa voiceover. It was really funny. So no, yeah, like I think Microsoft is one of the reasons like a lot of the games were not at a very, very good not at a very good quality. I found the article by Windows Central. It says the game is a rare AAA non-exclusive title that supports Play Anywhere without an apparent marketing deal or Game Pass arrangement with Microsoft. Yes, without an apparent marketing deal. We have other reports claiming that games going on Play Anywhere are being offered a better revenue share from Xbox, from Microsoft. Again, what you're saying is absurd. If there was no evidence of a marketing deal, that just means there's no trailers, there's no advertisements that make it seem as though they were like, beholden to Xbox or something like that. So if Crimson Desert, agreed to Play Anywhere, there's clearly something that got them to do it. There's a contract agreed upon. How do you even know it's a Play Anywhere game if there was no marketing? Are there trailers? Are there advertisements? Are there placards? And again, we don't know the revenue split. If they agreed to a better revenue split, then I would say that's a pretty good indication that there's some kind of a contractual deal between them where they're being monetarily compensated. Listen. I tell you what we'll do. Let's just do this. For the record, Jack Turner 1537 is 1000% correct. There is absolutely no deal between Crimson Desert developer Pearl Abyss and Microsoft. Not a single cent is exchanged hands. There is no contract. There is no paper trail. There's no deal. Let's move on. I don't care. You're right. I'm wrong. Let's talk about something else. The overarching discussion was about, I think that's what tomorrow is about. I think tomorrow is an indication that if you're going to enter into a Play Anywhere deal with Microsoft and Xbox, there is going to be marketing spiffs that come from that. There's going to be showcase pushes that come from that, because Play Anywhere is antithetical to the business interests of developers and publishers. If Xbox was its own thing, then Halo would have stayed a Mac game. Can't perfectly talk about it in a vacuum. People will clip you. They clip me all day long, homie. That's how some people have to make content. I mean, I don't care about that. It's not my concern. Games on PlayStation give PlayStation a cut. Same with any game. Sure. I'm late to the party. Did you discuss Marathon yet? We discussed Marathon, and this is essentially what it looks like with Marathon, right? The idea being that they're trying to make the game more approachable for new players. They're trying to make the game more approachable for new players. Not only are they trying to make the game more approachable for new players, they're also trying, it seems, to make people consider playing friendlier, which is really interesting because they're like, who said you can't make friends on Tau Ceti? And I'm like, your player base did. Your entire game did. Right? Yeah. You did. Who said you can't make friends on Tau Ceti? Oh, you guys did. It's not a game for everybody. It's highly competitive. It's sweaty, So their update is seemingly trying to meet people that are either new, they're new and they're struggling to get into the game. So they're making like the first map accessible for longer. They're making the first map accessible for longer, and then they're going to have contracts specific to those early environments to get people into the game more that might be newer. They're also offering an incentive to work together, extract together, and then make a crew together after the fact, right? So they're wanting folks to, basically consider going in and being friendly. They're also seemingly trying to correct the lack of an on-ramp, the lack of the onboarding. It's really, really tough for new players to get into the game, so they're making adjustments to address those things. I personally don't think it's enough. I think that it's moving the needle an inch when it needs to move a whole foot. It seems incredibly short-sighted and barely a nudge. Here's the thing. I think they feel like they can't do too much. If they do too much, then you're going to upset the remaining players. But you get to a point where the remaining players are such a small group anyway, like who honestly cares? They're not going to keep the game going. There's also the feeling of wanting to die with dignity. If the game's going to go under, if the game's not going to make it, I don't necessarily think that they're going to want to go down swinging pathetically. Like, oh, it's free and PvE, and it's like if they're going to hit the canvas, just die. It's over. Let's be real, whatever they do, you won't be happy. Yeah, I've never seen you talk in my chat before. I'm sure you really know what my opinion is and what my coverage has been. You seem like a real intellectual person willing to give, grace and charity to another person as you summarize what you think I'll think in the future. Yeah, I have a feeling this will be a wonderful conversation with you. Let's see. Let's just check your chat activity. All right, let's just see. It's a fun game. Y'all just hate when we were talking about the marathon player count. Okay, yeah, we're one of those. Cool. Thanks for stopping by. Feel free to never do it ever again. I don't think you're giving an inch enough credit. They can definitely be enough, right, fellas? Right? I played for 3 hours last night. A shift in tone within the player base could be felt for sure. So many rook and solo runners are being friendly. Well, if you motivate people to be friendly, they might be friendly for a little while, At the very least, they're considering the fact that the on-ramp is terrible and that they're trying to get people in they're trying to get people in the door and stay in the door. Somebody says the update's trash. The update is trash. If anything, it made skilled players more ruthless. They're now reviving players and killing them over and over again. This was a stupid approach. Here's my question. Why would they revive over and over again? You don't get anything unless you exfil together. You have to exfil. Angry Pete with 55 months in a VIP. I'm already ready for my AARP membership. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And you can't do anything. You don't get any of the stuff unless you exfil together. What's rezzing somebody over and over accomplish other than just being a troll? It's definitely changing the culture of the game, which is a good thing in my opinion. Deafside says, read my last. Lono, even when Cross was reading the patch notes, people were saying that the game was turning into Arc Raiders, and that's a bad thing. Oh, well, of course. Of course. The issue is always going to be if they move toward the players that have been told that you suck, get good, go play something else. If they move towards those players, the players that have been saying, get good, you suck, go play something else, they're going to feel like that's betrayal. The Mercy Revive is numbered by an item. They're wasting the Mercy item. I don't know what to tell y'all. I don't think it's going to change anything. The decline is too fast. It's too fast. You're not going to slow it down. I've said time and time again, the only thing that's going to change the trajectory of this game is you're going to have some kind of a showcase. If you don't, then hang on, this is the button. You need to get everybody's attention. You need to get everybody's attention to say, we're fundamentally changing the game. We're opening up the game. Whatever it is you're going to do, you'd have to do some kind of a showcase. These little adjustments here and there and these patches and stuff, that's all well and good, but that's not going to get people to come into the game that aren't currently playing it or that haven't bought it. Trey Gaming with 14 months. Wow. Now the Microsoft creators who bashed exclusivity are begging for it. You can't make this stuff up. Thank you so much, Trey Gaming, and bumping it to 207. Yeah, it's funny how the winds change like that. Exclusives are great. We can't wait to see all these Bethesda exclusives. Exclusives are bad. Exclusives are anti-consumer. And now bring back exclusives. Okay. All right. They're also being Bungie, and they're making changes that literally nobody asked for. Holding 125,000 daily players for 7 months is a bad thing. People are clueless. I'm not sure what you're trying to argue about that. The second point about the daily players you need. I bought a PS5 Pro for Wolverine. I hope I'm not disappointed. Okay. I'm not saying they couldn't say no, as they would be forced somehow. But if there was a giant offer, it would be believed. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Lono, from 1 to 10, how excited are you for Wolverine? Like an 8. It's not one of my most anticipated games this year. I'm not the superhero games are fun, but I'm more of like looking forward to Control Resonant and Saros. Even Pragmata this week looks really, really good and really, really fun. The superhero games are fun, but like, I don't know. They don't call to me to the same degree that like Ghost of Yote did or Saros does. I will be playing Pragmata, yes, this week. The update didn't even move the chart. Shame. I'm enjoying the game. Your response to someone in our chat. Okay. I still don't know what you mean by holding 125,000 daily players for 7 months is a bad thing. I'm not sure. Oh, Arc Raiders. Did you try the Cyberpunk update for the PS5 Pro? If so, what are your thoughts? I had it all ready to go and didn't end up streaming it, and I wish I would have streamed it. We covered it, like the Reflections thing, and how people thought it was a mod on PC or what have you. It looks really impressive. I really enjoyed when I played through Phantom Liberty. I false started with Cyberpunk multiple times, and I loved Phantom Liberty. It's like around 25 hours of time that I got to spend with it. I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was excellent. Just trying to get a platinum on Marathon and probably skipping out on the new season. It's a cool game, but needed a break, says Dope Zeppelin. Well, and we were talking about this in the Discord yesterday. That's a great reason to become a member, is that you guys can get into the Discord for the Green Room. It's a members-only Discord. So consider doing that right now. If you guys have never done a membership on YouTube, hit the join button for $5 a month. You get a badge, you get emotes, and then you get into the members-only Discord. I do this full-time because of the direct support from people doing that, and we're trying to get to 600 paying members, and we've always just kind of stalled out in the 500s. We cannot hit that 600 mark, and you can help us do that. If you can't do a membership or you're not interested, hit that like button. You can get us to 300 likes right now. Everybody take a quick second and double-check that you've hit that thumbs up button. So here's the deal with what Dope Zeppelin just put in chat. We were talking about this in the Discord, and I said that there was a guy's video. He was like in his 50s, and he was talking about, why Arc Raiders was so great and so it was so good and appealing to like him as a casual dad gamer. And he walked through his schedule, and he walked through, he's got 2 hours a night, and that's all he's got, right? And he said something that I thought was a bullseye that a lot of people forget in the conversation. He said the casual dad gamers will keep playing your game when all the hardcore people have burned out and have run out of things to do. And I thought, holy cow, that's the thing that everybody has missed. Everybody's missed this in the grand scheme of things. They've been focused on the fact that the casual dad gamers are this and the casual dad gamers are that. And this guy basically explained why they were able to maintain such good numbers in Destiny all those years. Because when things got dry and when the seasonal content had been wrung out like a rag by the hardcore streamers and the hardcore players, your casual dads were still there booting up every night and playing. Once a game becomes a third space for a person and they play more casually, they're there all of the time, even when things get a little dry, even when things get a little, like you're not doing lots of updates and stuff. So I thought that was very insightful. I thought this guy absolutely is right that one of the reasons Arc Raiders still has such a strong player number is because they appeal to people who are going to play even when things get a little bit dry. That is your biggest dilemma in Marathon. It's a game built for hardcore players. Do you want to know what I witnessed in all the years of covering Destiny? Your hardcore players are the first to bellyache. They're the first to quit. They're the first to run out of things to do. You can't build a game on that. You can't. Their player behavior doesn't work for ongoing engagement. They have the worst player habits out of the bunch. $10 super chat from Neo Reaper. I've seen a few people talk about a battle royale being added to Marathon. Any chance this would help the numbers? I don't think it would help the numbers at all. No, that's not what the game needs. Exactly. Marathon is still in the honeymoon phase too, says John Doe. Are the hardcore players going to stay and grind the same maps and the players over and over again when a new FPS game comes out or when a new league starts or when another popular game comes out? Psycho Hex says, we casual dads take our time with the content because we have other responsibilities. I was that player, Lono. That's right. Dudeness says, that's crazy. I'm a dad and I play Marathon. You're not engaged in the conversation and you know it. That's not... We've talked about this so many times. You're like, but I'm a dad. You're misunderstanding the conversation if that's what you think we're talking about. That like, well, Lono, I'm a dad and I play. I'm not saying that dads can't play Marathon. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that casual dads can't play Marathon. I'm not. Some people aren't willing to play because of the difficulty. No, that's an oversimplification of why people aren't playing the game. They're not playing the game because they don't like it. It's unappealing. It's unwelcoming. It's punishing. The idea that it's just about the difficulty is such an oversimplification of the problem. Like, I am not saying that dads can't play Marathon. I commonly find when I engage with guys like you, Dudeness, I have to constantly say, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. Because you don't listen to what I'm saying. You have a predetermined idea of what I'm saying and your own predetermined talking points. Like, listen to what I'm saying. The reason a game like Destiny had players during the dry spells is because the hardcore players would wring the content out like a rag and throw it over their shoulder and be like, I'm done. I don't have anything to do now. The hardcore players are the first to quit. They're the first to run out of things to do. They're the quickest to bellyache about how I've got nothing to do and I'm bored, right? They're the fastest to do that because they're at the front of the wave of the content. The more casual players, and when I say casual dads, I'm not saying all dads. It's an idea. You can picture the guy in your mind. He's in his 40s or 50s and he gets home and he's got a couple of hours to play and he's playing Arc Raiders 7 months after release, just as much as he did when it first came out. That guy is glue. He's keeping the thing going. He's keeping everything together. I don't care if you're a dad and play Marathon. That doesn't matter to me. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you want your game to survive, you need players like that. You need players that aren't going to rip through the game like a piranha and then there's nothing but bones left. And they're like, well, I guess I have to take a break now. And it's been 6 weeks. That was the most common time I experienced Destiny players saying they were bored and had nothing to do. It was always at the 5 and the 6 week mark. Every time like clockwork. Every time. 3 months worth of content and they'd be 5 weeks in and they'd be like, I'm bored, there's nothing to do. I'm bored, there's nothing to do. They played the game like a crazy person for 4 straight weeks, 5 straight weeks, and they got nothing left to do. I don't think you can build a live service game off of those player habits. I don't think you can do it. They're the worst players to try to build a game for because You're never going to make enough. You're never going to time gate enough. They're going to play your game like a fiend, and then they're going to throw it over their shoulder. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, every time we have this conversation, you're like, but I know dads. I've met dads. I've played with dads. You're getting caught up in the most bizarre particular of my vernacular. Like, I'm not saying that dads can't play the game. You're not even hearing the argument if you think that's what I'm saying. That is not the crux. The crux of the argument is that a live service game needs players to re-engage months at a time. Months at a time, you need people to re-engage. If you've not built your game to do that, then you're cooked. I'm listening. I agree with that. I've said it needs to respect people's time more. Right, and you're saying a little bit ago, you said you agreed that it's too punishing. There's just so many levels to the nature of what makes the game unappealing. I don't know if they can get the public's attention without some kind of a showcase. I'm a grandfather and I love Marathon. Case closed. That's right. Like, any age group can enjoy the game. Any age group can enjoy the game. If you don't have a game where... Have you ever heard the analogy of the guy that is like, he's trying to teach... It's like one of those motivational speeches. And he's trying to teach people about how to have your priorities straight. And he puts these really big rocks in the jar. And he's like, this is your family. These are the things that are, that matter the most to you. And then he puts pebbles in the jar. And then he puts sand in the jar. And then he puts water in the jar. And he talks about how when you put things in order in the right priority, everything can fit and there's space for all those things. But if you put the sand in the jar first, the big things aren't going to get in there. So he's like, if you stress over the particulars and the little things in life, you're going to miss out on the big things. It's basically some kind of a motivational speech like that. Thank you for the $2 super chat, Trey. Speed run through the game and cry, the new normal. So the point is that the casual players, okay, the casual players are like the sand. If you don't have them in there, there's all these gaps. There's all these gaps and spaces. You just have like your hardcore players. Like, you just got them in there. They're these big, huge rocks. And then there's nothing else filling in the gaps. There's no pebbles. There's no smaller rocks. There's no sand. You have no spectrum within the player pool. It's just, that's it. Winged Wheel, thanks for gifting a member and getting us to 208. Does that make sense? Like, I'm picturing it like that. It's like you have your most ardent, most hardcore, most committed players, and buddy, they are in there. They are in there every day. Man, I watched a video of a guy who said after over 100 hours, he still hadn't gotten to do the stuff in Cryo Archive that he wanted to do. And it was like, Jiminy Christmas. I can't imagine having that level of commitment in that many hours and still feeling like the main thing, the exciting thing is out of your reach. You know what I mean? Like, I was absolutely floored when I heard him say it. I was floored when I heard him say it. It was like, oh my gosh, how are you still playing? How have you not, like, metaphorically blown the game's brains out and just got it off your hard drive? I stopped playing after Final Shape, earned, then go to play Elden Ring, and was a blast. Oh, you're talking about Destiny. I don't care. I don't want to talk about Destiny. I don't care what anybody did in Destiny. That we get off in those tangents, and then we just get everybody's diary about why they stopped playing Destiny. That's not what we're talking about. We always delve into that, and it's not. I don't enjoy it. Some people still haven't stepped into Cryo. It's vicious in there. I mean, I think a lot of the people that didn't step into Cryo uninstalled and quit after it launched. They were like, okay, you made a game for streamers. You made a game for streamers. I think it's one of... Borderlands made this mistake with their end game in Borderlands 3. And we saw similar things happen in Destiny 2 at times, and I fought for that game's soul and pushed back on the terrible input from streamers that hurt Destiny 2 many times. They didn't like it. I put a target on myself by doing that. Shrouded Ninjas are out there, and they're making the game last. It's the casual unks like me that pick it up for a few hours a day. I love Marathon. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Pacey Play says, you assume the 100 prior hours wasn't exciting for him. I don't assume anything. You're assuming. I never said that. You're literally assuming something that I did not state. You're the one guilty of assumption. I didn't assume that the hours weren't exciting. I thought it was crazy that somebody had that level of commitment, and that level of commitment wasn't rewarded with access to the pinnacle activity. I didn't presume anything about what was exciting for him. You're the one presuming. I was shocked that somebody at that level can't get into the thing. I didn't say anything about the 100 hours. It stands to reason that a guy who played for over 100 hours was having a good time. I didn't say anything about his enjoyment in the 100 hours. That's the problem with these conversations, is you guys come with barrels loaded thinking you know what I think. Use the question mark on your dadgum keyboard. Start asking me questions about what I think. Go back to your statement? No, I know what I said and I know what I meant. I said nothing about his enjoyment in the 100 hours. I didn't speak to that. It's insane to me that someone can get to that level and continue to keep playing, and they can't get into the aspirational thing. They can't get out of the game the pinnacle thing. That's crazy to me. You don't know what I think about that guy's playtime because I didn't speak to his playtime. It blew my mind that somebody could get to 100 hours and still not be able to do the thing in cryo. I'm like, that's insane to me. You're one of the more committed players. You're in the smallest percentage of players out there, and you can't do the thing? Jiminy Christmas. That sounds like the game is built very strangely. It was implied in your statement, maybe mistakenly, but it was not implied in my statement. It wasn't. I'm not doing this thing with you. I'm done doing this with people who want to put words in my mouth. It was not implied that he did not enjoy the 100 hours. I didn't imply that at all. I wasn't speaking to his 100 hours. I was speaking to the fact that he has 100 hours and he can't do cryo? You have people with that. Imagine putting that many hours into a game and you can't do the dungeon, you can't do the raid. You go in and just get smacked and kicked out. You're like, oh, I can't successfully do the thing that's here for the most committed players. Time should give you access to the activity. Skill should give you access to the loot contained in the activity. I'm not saying he's owed anything. What I'm saying is, if you've got people that have put that amount of time into the game and they can't do the pinnacle, your game has been built in a very strange way. It's been made in a very strange way. It's one of those things where if you're actively playing a game to that degree and you're still not able to break through that ceiling, I can't imagine continuing to play. What are you going to do now? The requirement to get into cryo isn't necessarily difficult. It's about losing your stuff that's painful, respecting the player's time, and making the loot feel easier to get. Yeah, I don't necessarily know if the answer is to make loot easier to get. You said he hasn't gotten to the exciting part after 100 hours, implying the previous 100 hours wasn't exciting. No, that's a false read of what I was saying. The context was not about me saying that the 100 hours wasn't exciting. The point was, cryo is like the big exciting thing they just dropped, and he can't get into it. You're projecting something onto what I said that I didn't say. Interacting with people like you is so dadgum infuriating. I've told you my position, and you're insisting on something I never said. It's so frustrating. Take a dadgum walk. I'm sick of people like you. I literally said, the homie's put in 100 hours, and he can't get into the exciting thing, the exciting part. Oh, so you're saying those 100 hours weren't exciting. You sound like a woman who asks if an outfit makes her look fat. That's what you sound like. You're going to take whatever I say, and you're going to twist it into a negative. It's exhausting. It's so exhausting. You flat tire the chat with this stupid insistence that oh, you clearly meant this. No, I didn't. I totally didn't mean that. That's not what was intended by my statement. It's clear to anybody listening to the show that I wasn't saying the dude played 100 hours and he was bored out of his mind. It wasn't exciting at all. It's so clear that's not what I meant. I was saying, this is the big thing. This is the big thing. Take it easy, take a walk. I'm done with people like you. Bro, you can literally interact with anyone else. That guy is annoying. Yeah, so are you. Low waffles, so you hate pancakes. Yeah, I'm done with folks like you. You guys want to come in and flat tire and talk about me. Talk about the topics. I'm sick of people coming in and talking about me. I'm not the topic. I'm the host. I'm hosting the show. Quit talking about me. It's annoying. The ongoing commentary about how I talk or what I say or the vocab that I use or what I meant. Shut the frick up. Engage in the conversation or leave. It wasn't rage bait. No, it wasn't rage bait. Thank you, Eldest One, with the Member Plus, and thank you for the 5-bomb as well. I don't believe they can't get in now, but they'll only have to buy into that. It takes 5,000 to walk through the door. I mean, I would generally say that the requirement to get in isn't even the problem. It wasn't that he, can't get in. It's that he can't get out. I don't think it's a problem to have, aspirational content that requires a lot from the player. That's not the problem. You got to play a lot, right? You got to have a lot of stuff. You got to have a lot of loot. You got to have a lot of gear, right? That's not the problem. That means that what you're doing there is you're saying, oh, you put enough time. That was like having light level requirements in Destiny. Yeah, sure. Play a bunch. Get your stuff. Hidden Siryu with the 10 bomb puts us on the doorstep. I owe you guys one. Sounds like a skill issue, TBH. Oh, yeah, sure. It's always the player's fault. It's never the game's fault. Guy with 100 hours, skill issue. Yep. This is a bad time to ask a question about Crimson Desert. I mean, what do you want to know about Crimson Desert? I hate to say it, but 100 hours and can't get out, skill issue. Yeah. You know what else is a skill issue? This game's ability to survive. Thank you so much, Angry Pete. It's remarkable to me how at this point people are just skill issue, skill issue, skill issue. You know what's a skill issue? This is a skill issue. They're bleeding players. That's a skill issue. The game in and of itself has its own skill issue. I can't imagine looking at this and being like, it's the player's fault. It's the player's fault. It's always the player's fault. Oh, you put in 100 hours. You're committed. You've been playing. You've been grinding. And you have criticisms, you have feedback, you've had a negative experience, skill issue. Oh, okay. It's part of the game, though. You need skill in a PvP game. You do need skill in a PvP game, but that's not what we're talking about. I think the reason talking about Marathon frustrates me is everybody wants to have a superficial platitudinous conversation, and I'm trying to talk about something bigger. And you want to be like, but you need skill, platitude. Get good, platitude. So, it's an extraction shooter, they're hard, platitude. Just platitude after platitude after platitude. Nobody's saying anything. It's just it's like a batting cage of bumper stickers. Yes, I know you need skill in a PvP game. Thank you for bestowing that wisdom on me. I had no idea. I've shoutcasted professionally, and I've been playing PvP games since Quake, but I had no idea you needed skill in a PvP game. Extraction shooters are intense and punishing. I thought it was like an episode of Barney and Friends. I'm so glad you could bestow that platitude on me. That's why it's so frustrating to have this. It's like nobody's saying anything. It's like I'm analyzing on-ramps and PvE motivations and player psychology and the player patterns and how you can sustain a game with the people who will play even when the content runs dry. And all I get in response to people that enjoy the game or defend the game is just a bunch of empty platitudes. It's like, okay, skill issue, get good, it's hard, it's extraction, that's what these games are like. Okay, great. You guys said that 7 months ago. You guys said that last year. Have a conversation. Is there any way to get those people in the game? I don't know. What could they do? Trill Troll with 46 months. Like, do you see what I'm saying? I feel like I'm in a time loop. These empty platitudes were said ad nauseum last year when the showcase happened. Just ad nauseum. Well, it's an extraction shooter. I'm having fun. Skill issue. Okay, cool. Now that the game is out and it's bleeding players, people who bought the game, who have put hundreds of hours in, are explaining why they're walking away, and it's still the same thing. It's still the empty platitudes. Skill issue. It's not on creators. Get good or get out. Well, people are choosing to get out. Ida Crow with 26 months and a member plus. Thank you so much. Dudeness says, at least we're having fun instead of looking at charts. I played this game till it dies and have been grateful to have played it. That's fine. Like, no one that's looking at the charts is not playing video games. They're probably playing other video games. That's what the game is, though. You can't ignore the main factor is that a casual should know exactly what they are purchasing. Marathon is PvP game, not PvE, with a little PvP like D2. Okay, again, Incredible Black. I don't feel like you're engaging with the crux of the matter. The crux of the matter isn't even the fact that, like, people need to know what they're purchasing. People that purchased it, people that have played a lot, are walking away. So what do you say to somebody that's doing that? 100 hours. I've seen countless people that have crossed the 100-hour Rubicon, and they're like, I can't do it anymore. They played. They did the thing. They bought the game, and they committed. They got good. They did all the stuff, and they're hanging it up. Thank you, Nova, with 52 months. I have a high rate of extraction running solo. I know how to avoid fights that I shouldn't engage in. Gunplay isn't the only skill. Let me add to the total. 228. Excuse me. Bean Alpha says I lasted 50 hours. I don't understand. You said you made it out of crypto and you have 60 hours, and now you're saying you lasted 50 hours. Why did Arc Raiders work and Marathon doesn't? Just curious. I don't play either. I mean, there's like a mountain of reasons why one game succeeds over another. I don't think it's a simple explanation. I think the simplest answer is Arc Raiders is more approachable. So they got way more people to try it out. You know, that's the crux of the matter. It's just more approachable. When your game's more approachable, more people will give it a try. If I get 10 people to try my restaurant and maybe 2 people like it, if I can get 1,000 people to try my restaurant and I get the same ratio, but it's 200 people like it, well, I'm in a good place. Because now those 200 people will tell more of their friends that they liked it. They'll recommend it to more people. I've had a bigger impact. There'll be more ripple effects from that. If I get 1,000 people to breach the doors of my restaurant my opening day, and 200 people walk away and say, it was great, it was amazing. But if I only get 10 people to come in and 2 people think it's amazing, it doesn't matter. Those 2 people aren't going to have much of an impact. Just that broader appeal. It's just got more people to try it. And that Marathon never had broad appeal. They got everybody's attention to say, this is not a game for you. And then everybody was like, okay, thanks. And then when we look at the numbers, people are like, well, it's not a game for everybody. It's hard. It's difficult. It's a skill issue. And it's like, if you're going to say that to the people with 100 plus hours who are trying to provide feedback, I think you're in a bad spot. I think you're quite literally running people off. You're literally running people off. You're basically saying even the people that are the most committed, even the people who have put in hours and have specific pieces of feedback and things to say, you're just like, yes, skill issue. And it's just like, And that's why I just have such a short fuse now when I talk about this, because I got to put up with people constantly putting words in my mouth. And it's like, you hate it, you want it to die, you have a bias against Bungie, you have a bias against PvP games, you know. And now that it's clear that my bias didn't cloud my judgment at all, every prediction I made about this game has come true. It was like I'm a time traveler, down to the days, down to the weeks. I said, 2 to 4 weeks in, I think we're going to see. Like 2 to 4 weeks in, I think we're going to see this game can't hold a player base. So it's like, but now we have to make it about me. You got to make, you and what you're saying, and you're saying this about this guy. And it's like, I'm not saying any of those things. If I'm allergic to seafood, why would I go to a seafood restaurant and expect a different experience? Bungie made that choice to go PvP sweat. So you think that somebody gets 100 hours in the game, Incredible Black, you're basically saying they shouldn't have purchased the game to begin with? They made it to 100 hours. Who are these 100-hour people you said you've seen walk away? I've seen comments on YouTube videos. I've seen tweets of people that are like, I made it to about 100 hours and I just decided that it's clear the game's not for me. Like, I can't even do the aspirational stuff. Why am I going to keep playing? I've done all the stuff. I've seen and heard the crux of the game. Now, I'm not gamer checking every person that says this. They seem to be saying the things in good faith. They're not saying it like a hater. They're just like, yeah, man, I hit 100 hours. The one guy's like, I think the one guy said he had 110 hours, and he was like, I'm hanging it up. You know, I've had my fill, and I can't really take it anymore. It's just becoming too sweaty. There's a variety of reasons. Some people, I've seen a couple of people just say it's just getting too sweaty, and they don't like it. I made it to 60 and I stopped 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I don't think these people are being toxic. I don't think they're being haters. I'm telling you, the biggest threat to this game has always been, since the beginning, the people that just want to make it about everybody else. You want to make it about the person and their feedback. You want to make it about me. You want to make it about their individual skill issue. And it's like, okay, keep doing that, I guess. You're just making everybody irritated. It's to the point now where I don't like covering it or talking about it, because I know that's the cyclone that we're gonna get thrown into, and I'm just gonna get irritated because it feels like we can't have a conversation about it. I feel like I'm constantly hacking through the weeds of like willful misinterpretation of the things that I say, and I'm like, that just gets old. It's literally like running people off from playing the game and then running people off from talking about it. You know what I mean? Like creating an environment that's so toxic and so void of oxygen that nobody wants to freaking do anything about your game. Nobody wants to make a video, do a live show, none of that. Everybody's just like, ugh, that's just annoying. Time is it? There we go. Boom. I hung in for about 25 hours, says Nick. I may go back, but I feel like I only manage to exfil if I play extra safe, which is boring. If I dare to push or risk loot, I get destroyed, and it's annoying. Incredible Black says, I'm saying that they knew ahead of time with interviews what the game was. If you can't compete or you don't like playing hardcore, why waste your money? That's all I'm saying. Okay, so let me get this straight. Based on the marketing, somebody bought the game, gets all the way to where Cryo Archive just seems really inaccessible to them, and they hang it up, and you're like, they should have known that ahead of time? Incredible Black, there was no way anybody knew that that's the way Cryo was going to go. If you go back to my coverage about this last year, do you know what they said? They said they were going to revolutionize the extraction shooter. Do you want to know how they said they were going to do that? They said they were going to do it with the fourth map, with the Cryo Archive. It revolutionized the extraction shooter by making people who bought the game decide to quit. I mean, I guess that's how they revolutionized the extraction shooter. Their player base is extracting right out of the game because they're like, I can't do this. Negative videos generate more clicks. Marathon has enough challenges. An influencer onslaught of Marathon failed doesn't help it. So fans get overzealous. I mean, I guess. It sounds like you're playing the wrong game. It's not for you, it seems, and that's totally valid. Well, right. I mean, if somebody gave it the true college try and they came to the conclusion, like, dude, I can't freaking do this. Sure. Like, yes, that some people thought, I'll give it the old college try. And they tried it. And they're like, yeah, I don't like this. Yes, that I think it's fair for somebody to be like, you know what, I tried. I think it's strange for people to get really, really long distance with the game and basically get told skill issue. It's like, oh, okay. Here's the thing with this game that I think that is, it's why you're going to see a lot of people just leave. Okay. There's always a comeback. There's always a clapback. It's like no criticism seems to get into the room. It's their marathon version of Trials, just like their version of Comp in Ranked. I also got it for free. If I paid $40, I probably would have stuck to it a bit more. Yeah, I think psychologically people probably put up with more and push more when they're given the opportunity to. Well, not given the opportunity. That's not the right word. Like, I think you're more apt to stick with the game if you spent money on it. I'm a Souls-like enjoyer and a Scrolls-like enjoyer, so it's obvious why an FPS doesn't appeal to me. My COD MW2 days are long over. Well, no, I stopped playing when I saw people play Cryo, says Gojira. I could eventually do all the stuff, but the amount of time it would take is not something I want to do. Too many other games to play. I mean, I watched a video of a guy who knew everywhere to go. He knew exactly where to go. Like, he was an expert, right? And he was running some weapon, and they took out, like, gold-level shield teams, like, instantly. I mean, they just deleted them from the game. It was like, it was so fast. The one guy that he killed, I was like, so the shields don't really make a difference at this level. Like, that didn't make a difference at all. The guy was deleted in seconds. There was no chance to respond. Nothing. It was literally like a two-tap. It was like kaploom, kaploom, and the guy was dead. And I was like, oh my. I was like, I thought I was going to see like a fight. Now, the two remaining players put up a decent fight. Like, it was a little bit like, okay, maybe this will go south on them. But that went quick, too. I was like, oh, wow, those guys are literally deleted and back in the lobby with nothing. And they had gold-level shields. I was like, I don't know. I'm going to die on the hill. The guy with 100 hours who can't exfil from Cryo has a skill issue. I'm sorry. It's such a ridiculous statement to anyone who actually plays the game. I think your neat little club isn't going to be around for very long. If the aspirational content has a completion rate that is so low that people quit. The fandom around the game to me just feels like plain old gatekeeping, says Hilly. I was interested in the game. I played the beta and the server slam, and I thought this is too much for me to enjoy. Since that point, I have heard many things that tell me the current player base like it, and I won't, and that's cool with me. Well, and that's why I said they can't make the adjustments that they probably need to make because they run the risk of running off the ever-shrinking player pool. It's like, check the question. Oh, you use the question command? Khaled, I want you to blame chat. The reason I never check the question command is like you're like one of two people that actually use it, and so I just don't check it. Everybody stopped using it, and I don't harp on things that don't get engagement. It's I'm glad that you use it, but I don't like to sit there and harp on the question command. It started to get cringy. I was like, people aren't using it. I'm not going to harp on it. What Bungie thought was revolutionary in this map, says Khaled. I don't know. I truly don't know. I mean, maybe they thought it was revolutionary that they made an intersection of like incredibly challenging PvE with hyper sweaty PvP. I just don't know. Kino Mansky submitted this question. Did you see that Angry Joe has played 120 hours of Marathon? He loves it, even if he gave it a 6 out of 10, and he found only one subroutine for the compiler. He has not beat the compiler yet. Yeah, I can't imagine playing to that degree and basically being like, well, I can't play. I can't do the thing. Just because you play a game for 100 hours doesn't mean you're going to be good at it. Thank you, Siege Master, for bumping the line by 1. Well, here's the thing, Biggie. I would expect, right? I would expect if somebody goes 100 hours, they're not trash. I really, really doubt. And there's another one from Siege. He's trying to set up the 20 bomb to 250. Like, I just have severe doubt somebody could play this game for that long and be absolute garbage. You know what I mean? Like, homie, you're not going to go 100 hours, have good enough loot and a team to go into cryo and be garbage. They're not. He's not a garbage player. There's no way that guy's garbage. Also, when you look at Cryo Archive and what it takes to succeed, I don't even think the people that fail, it's a skill issue. You literally can get deleted from the game in a matter of seconds if someone gets the jump on you. Like, when I watched that guy kill that one player, I'm like, nobody could say skill issue. The guy had 0.2 seconds to respond. Unless you have the reflexes of a Jedi, you're like, when that happened, you're dead. There's no skill issue. The guy was in a room. He gets bum rushed by the guy so fast. Boom, boom, dead. I was like, oh. Well, I guess he should have been better. What? If someone said, I've played 100 hours of Returnal but haven't cleared a run yet, I would be really suspicious. Like, how are you playing that much? Like, you know what I mean? You would just stop playing after a while. 100 hours in Returnal and never completed a run, I would be very suspicious. What gun was he using? I don't know, it was some kind of a shotgun. He said something like, make sure we're on slug or something. He said something like that. He deleted the guy so fast. I'm like, how could anybody say skill issue? He died instantaneously. It was like, he was there one moment and the next he wasn't. There was no fight. There was no shootout. There was no mistake. There was no post-play assessment. It was thunk, thunk, dead. And I was like, oh, well, I would be livid if I did all that grind and all that work and got to this level of the gameplay and that's how quickly I died. I would be furious. Thank you, Khaled, for 52 months and a member plus. He says, I keep using the question command till the day I die. You feel me? I feel you, Khaled. That's what I'm saying. You need to get on chat. Tell him to use that question command. How's it going, fellas? What's good, Red Rider? They turned Trials of Osiris into an extraction shooter. One less player, I guess. Is Marathon winning yet? That's what I mean. That's why when people say skill issue, I'm like, homies, you can literally have that experience where, like, that guy that he killed, that's a guy with tons of time and tons of investment, and he's snuffed out like a wet pinch on a candle, just psst, done, and it's like all of his work gone in the blink of an eye. And you're like, skill issue. I'm like, huh? Who are we talking about? What guy died? Who was the other guy? All I know is I watched a high-level player playing cryo, and he killed a guy with gold shields in like half of a second. The boss gun was a problem. I don't know. The footage was new. I don't know if it's been nerfed or not. I don't think it was the biotoxin ejector, because I thought that was grenade. I thought the grenades were what was killing everybody. It was instantaneous. I was like, what the heck was that guy supposed to do differently? That's extraction shooters for you? I saw a guy say that gaming went downhill when people started saying that they didn't want to play against tryhards. And it's like, gaming didn't go downhill. We just went and played somewhere else, and you don't like it. Gaming didn't go downhill. Single-player games are selling millions of copies. Crimson Desert just hit 5 million. Resident Evil 9 sold a ridiculous amount of copies. We've seen games like Slay the Spire 2 and Eugenics and others top sales charts. Gaming's doing just fine. You're just angry that we all left. We're not there for you to beat up on anymore. All the sweaties and the tryhards basically are ticked that a bunch of us are like, yeah, we don't really like this anymore. It's not fun. Gaming is just fine. You just play a very small selective games and you're pissed because a bunch of us aren't there to be in your montages anymore. We're like, yeah, we'll go play something else. I mean, I'm getting old. I'm getting slower. You know, a lot of us just know we're never going to be that pro at a game. We're just never going to be that pro at a game. So we just go play something else. Look at PvP games with tons of players still. It's about respecting the player and the onboarding. Well, I think some of that comes down to skill-based matchmaking too, dude. And it's like my kids play Fortnite every week. Do you think my kids would play Fortnite every week if they got into a lobby and after 5 minutes they were dead and they had no chance? If somebody cranked a 90 and domed them, you think my kids would be playing Fortnite week after week? No, they wouldn't. They wouldn't. Skill-based matchmaking plays a huge role in games like that, having large player bases, because it gives people an inroad to having fun. My daughter is playing ranked build Fortnite, and she keeps getting into platinum and getting knocked back down. And she gets into platinum, and she's getting knocked back down. You want to know what's going to happen? She's going to stop playing ranked. I already know it. Because she's going to feel like I'm not making any progress. He died on perimeter, clip-clomping around, and Pikachu face and uninstalled the game on his stream. I'll say it's skill issue. No. It wasn't from the guy's perspective that died. The guy that died was just a random player. It was just a random player. I've not seen this clip. You're saying this guy... Videos have been so slow to play on Twitter lately. So you're saying this guy quit on his stream? Look how fast he dies. So it was because he was making noise? So I'm supposing he was supposed to crouch everywhere? He like there's no way to react to that. He's just dead. Now, you could say he didn't check the corner, I guess. I guess there's an angle to the right behind his camera that he didn't check. Because as soon as he crosses the threshold of that red door, he's getting shot. I mean, it's as soon as he breaks the plane, somebody's shooting him through there, it looks like. That's got to be cheaters. That kind of makes me feel... That almost looks like a cheat. He got team shot. I'm just kind of curious about the timing. It, like, he breaks the plane of the door and the bullets instantly come. I don't know about this one, boys. Playback speed 2.5. So the opening is here. I don't know. It was planned and they team shot the last one. Oh, because his teammates walked ahead of him. I guess that makes more sense. I'm like, man, them homies were like literally just aimed at the door. He's getting shot from behind. It looks like it comes from the door. It really looks like it comes from the door. It's like as soon as he breaks the plane of the door, but his buddies are ahead of him, so they must have just been watching the door and they just team shot him. Less than a second TTK is insane. Well, if he got shot by multiple people, I mean, there's nothing you can do against that. Team shot meta is tough to play against because reaction time's non-existent. If you and your buddies are staring at a door and I come past that door and you're like, bam, 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 I mean, I'm dead. I mean, you're going to delete me. That's just bad luck if that's what happened. Like, his buddies were ahead, and some other guys were like, hey, we got a team. And they're all waiting for the last guy, and he breaks the plane of the door, and they're all like, okay, see you later. You're dead, dude. You know what I mean? You can hear people near you. He got camped. Yeah, they might have been sound whoring. They were just sitting staring at a door, not making sound. Sean Torius submitted a question and said, do you think Bungie has time to implement your recommended fixes and spend the money to advertise it has a mode for people to go back to or buy the game? Listen, there's a handful of things that would need to happen. I don't know if they can do it fast enough because it would be haphazard. Like, the last thing they want to do now is to be haphazard and to, like, you don't want to start implementing changes that make the game do two things: become unstable or just be so diluted nobody knows what the heck is going on. You're like, well, wait, there's PvE, wait, there's a different loot pool, wait, what? Like, you almost have to boil the frog slowly in the water, right? You have to boil the frog slowly in the water if they're going to make those kinds of changes. This guy says, you made a stupid mistake, you weren't with your team, and you walked past the door without checking. Result is he got dropped. So your assessment of that situation is he should have been glued to his team, which I don't think is possible in cryo because there's different things you have to do. You can't constantly be right on top of each other. So because his teammates were, 10 yards ahead of him, he made a stupid mistake. Like, do you see? Like, he gets instantly deleted. All of his work, all of his time, all of his loot gone in the blink of an eye for what I would consider to be like a fairly minor mistake. Like, he's not glued to his team at all times. He walked in front of a door that his teammates just walked in front of. Oh, that wasn't cryo. Okay, that wasn't cryo. In any case, he lost a bunch of loot, I'm assuming. The guy Otter is in the marathon video is a finals player. He's in the top 500. Yo, good morning, gamer boy. I just watched the show opener, and man, I was hoping Replace was in a better shape. I'll wait for the game to get patched, and then jump in. Yeah, wrong place, wrong time. Even if it was a dumb mistake, says Jack Garland, a good game makes you want to go back and do better. A bad game makes you quit. I don't know if I would say it's that dichotomous, like a bad game makes you quit. I mean, he may just decide, enough is enough, I'm not having fun, there's other games I want to play. I don't think that necessarily makes the game bad. I do think that there's elements to the game that make it very easy to quit, right? You know what I mean? It's a game that's very easy to quit. Let's be honest, he wanted to quit the game. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. I mean, yeah, when you're having a hard time hanging with a game and finally the right thing happens and you're like, dude, I'm out. I'm not playing this anymore, right? Let's agree with that chatter. He messed up. He sucks. He has a skill issue. And he rage quit and he uninstalled the game. Excellent. One less marathon player. What's the plan for this game's survival again? Yeah, I guess if we even concede the point. Yes, he did. 3v1 will end with 3 winning 98% of the time. He didn't need to be glued to the door. He just should have looked right instead of slowly walking past the door. Right, but you can always do the Monday morning quarterback thing, right? He's making less sound by not running. Charles Hawk with a $5 super chat says, the guy in the video is a finals player. He's in the top 500. He ain't no slouch either. That's what, listen, Shroud spoke to that in one of his streams. He said, it doesn't matter how good you are sometimes. He had a guy in the corner of a room head glitching and just melted him. And it's like he didn't see him. He checked. He missed him. He looked past him. The game is very visually cluttered. There's a lot of, I think, visual pollution in Marathon. He doesn't see him, and Shroud instantly died and lost really good loot. And that was fairly early in the game's life. But even Shroud was like, I mean, there are times where there's literally nothing you can do. You just get deleted. And I think for people, that's hard to swallow. It's like, yeah, I there's nothing to change. There's nothing to make it, no way to do it differently. They could easily add a mode for decompression. They're doing a free kit Q2, which means everyone's on the same playing field. I again feel like the dude just made a little mistake. You'll get cooked quick in Marathon if that happens. All right, so I want you to think about what we're saying. We're saying that people at the upper echelon of skill can get deleted. I mean, just snap your finger deleted, and there's nothing they can really do to prevent it or stop it. Because let's say that he didn't walk slowly and he ran past the door. They still could have tailed him and killed him just as instantaneously, and there's nothing he could do about it. If he was like, yeah, situational awareness, I'm not going to walk past the door slowly, I'm going to run. And they had been like, okay, there he is. There's the last player. Now let's go up here nice and slow. There he is, and dead. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the point, is that if people at that level can be killed that quickly, you know what I'm saying? Yes, if anybody can catch hands I just feel like the risk is too great for the average player to do that. You know? I just think the risk is too great. I think people don't want to risk their evening on that notion. Imagine watching him and knowing his abilities and knowing his skill threshold, seeing that happen to him and being like, oh my golly. Like, wow. Do you want to play a game where that can happen? Did you guys ever hear my theory about why Fortnite always created chaos in their tournaments? Did you guys ever hear my theory on this? Do you guys remember when remember Uncle Jack quitting in the middle of a tournament because of the mechs? And that was the second time they had done that. The first time they did it, it was the boombox, and then it was the sword. It was like, oh, there's a tournament coming up, and Fortnite would intentionally drop a meta-breaking item into the game. They did it so many times, right? One of the reasons I think that they did that was they loved the idea of the public watching high-skilled players getting beat by casuals. They loved it. It was one of the best commercials for Fortnite you could ask for. Watching high-level sweaty players just get demolished by a mech. That's a great commercial for Fortnite. Because guess what people are going to do? They're going to be like, haha, I'm going to go and I'm going to get that mech. I'm going to go and I'm going to get that boombox or that sword. The difference in this scenario is that you're watching a high-level player die and you're watching them lose everything. So you're watching the guy literally have hours of his life just snuffed out in the millisecond blink of an eye. Just like, oh, he's dead. Like, you look away and you look back and you're like, homie's dead? Huh? And you know the loot that he has, you're talking about hours of his life just Thanos snapped out of existence. That's a terrible commercial for your game. People are going to be like, I'm not playing that, bro. That guy's good. He's a high-level player, and he just lost all of his stuff, and it was like a tiny mistake. I'm going to make tiny mistakes every second. Alternatively, just a thought, if a player with that many hours and that skill level can catch hands at any point, isn't that the great equalizer? I think it's the difference of like what's represented in the loss, Fuzzy. I think that's the difference. You know, you're going to die a lot, but like in a good rogue, you get rewarded from death, learn something, and what I don't think there's anything to learn from the footage we saw. He died so fast. It was like, what was to learn? What was to learn? Oh, if 3 people shoot you at the same time, you die. Watching someone that's really good have that happen to them just to have some jackass say get good for what? So that can happen to me too? Yeah, right? Get good. Skill issue, get good. So you're telling me if I commit and I get to the same skill level as Otter, that I can go in there and die just as fast and lose all my stuff? Well, you're really motivating me to get good. Isn't it interesting that get good isn't really even the solution because that guy is good? Do you see the problem? It's an immense conundrum. It's like, get good. That guy is good. What do you mean? The reward for me getting good is that the same thing can still happen? Why are you attached to the loot? For the same reason that you're chasing it. What do you mean? Why is anybody chasing loot? What do you mean? You like the loot. You don't want to lose the loot for the same reason that you chase it. It has inherent value in the game. You have self-revives and teammates can clutch up and revive you. It's one of those things where I feel like somebody is saying this meal is way too spicy and it hurts my mouth. And you're like, you just have to take smaller bites. You know, and it's like, but they're not going to do that. Like, do you see? It's like the game is just so difficult for people to develop an enduring affinity for, right? Like, if you've got this enduring affinity for this game, I just think you're such a minority. It's so difficult for even high-level players to just keep going. That homie is a high-level player. Y'all are telling me he is a top 500 player, and that guy got deleted in the blink of an eye. And I'm like, I don't want to play a game where that can happen. Imagine a Friday night where, like, I'm playing, I'm grinding, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to take some good loot in, and I make that level of a mistake. Like, he walked past a door and just blinked and dead. Oh, great. I think the thing that people miss in this conversation is, like, you just have to get used to losing your loot. The loot is not just loot. The loot is representative of time. It's time. You're literally, psychologically, you know how long it took to get those guns, those shields, that backpack. You know the hours it took to get that, and just watching it reduced to atoms in the blink of an eye. Homie, there's no way for a human to just shrug at that. Do you see what I'm saying? You have to edit this you'd have to edit this hardcore. I can't watch it then if there's a lot of swearing. I know there's some funny clips floating around of Astacross, but you know, he sometimes bleeps his videos and sometimes he doesn't. VIP from Matthew. Thank you, VIP. Renewing for 17 months. Top 500, a completely different game, means nothing to me. That doesn't automatically make him good at every game he plays. So tiring. That's the right word. That's tiring. It is. It's tiring to think that that guy's at a threshold of skill, and if that's the experience he has, what hope do I have? I don't think you're listening. It's like, that guy is at a level, like, so you don't think skill in a game like the finals translates into marathon, really? Like, this is what we're going to do now, is that just because he was good in marathon, just because he was good in the finals doesn't mean he'd be good in this game. Jiminy Christmas. I've been watching guys like this. Why do you think Shroud is good in almost every game that he touches? Because these guys are cut from different cloth. They're cut from different cloth. They're just good at these games. They speak their language. And if that guy can have that experience, then I'm out. You have to see how the conversation is not about the loot. It's not about the skill. It's not about any of those things. It's about time. We don't get it back. It's the most valuable and non-refundable currency in existence. You can't get it back. Maybe a little, but not much. Extraction's a completely different genre. Okay. The clip does not represent the entirety of the experience. No one's saying that it does. It's the possibility. So, I was trying to play Sea of Thieves with my wife a long time ago. Right? And we had 3 nights in a row, and they were all completely different experiences. But you know what every night ended in? No progress. I had a night where, as soon as we went to take off from shore, she was upstairs. I was loading up the boat with supplies so that we would have everything that we would need. And as soon as she came downstairs, some guy sailed by and sank the boat. So we had to make another one. And then when we made another one, we were off on some island doing something, and some guy came up as we were getting ready to leave, sank the boat. We had nothing to show for our time. So that was the first night. Second night, we did something different where we were like at a place and it took a really long time and skeletons kept spawning and we killed the skeletons. And when we went to leave, 2 boats showed up and we couldn't get away. Third night, we found an island. We were doing stuff and then the island had a volcano. It lit our boat on fire and our boat sank. 3 nights, 3 completely different exchanges of time and experiences. And the end of the night was the same each time. We made no progress. I was so mad the one night, I shut the game off, and I was like, I got to watch an episode of Lost before we go to bed. We were rewatching Lost at the time. And I was like, I'm so stinking mad. I'm not going to be able to fall asleep, right? I'm freaking furious. We tried 3 nights in a row to make this dadgum game work, and we just couldn't do it. It was just like we just got really unlucky. And if someone was like, yeah, but that's not the experience every time, it doesn't matter. If that's the possibility, I can't take my time and put it on the table and bet with it. I can't do it. Did you try getting good? No, we forgot to install that update. Thank you so much, Crispy Bogod, for 55 months. It says, for every bad thing like that happens in Marathon, you have just as many fun or exciting easy runs. It's easy to freak out over one bad clip. Thank you, Crispy Bogod, for 55 months. That's the point of extraction shooters. It's the time you spent gathering your gear and losing for the chance at better gear. Make one tiny mistake, it's gone. Look at Tarkov. 1 second and you're done. Yep. Okay. This is how the conversation has gone with me since this game was announced. Let me just walk you through the conversation. Lono says, that's not going to do very good. That's not going to appeal to lots of people. And there's a gifted from Broken Earth. And I was told, no, that's not the case, Lono. There's not really an extraction shooter on console. This game could do very well on console. They show the MVP, they show the alpha last year, and I'm like, this game doesn't look very appealing. This game doesn't look ready. And I was told, no. It's fun. You don't understand it. You don't get it. Thank you for another gifted Broken Earth, putting us 15 away from 250. Right? Fast forward to it getting delayed, which that's what I said was going to happen. It gets delayed this year. All of a sudden, I'm told, you have an anti-PvP bias. You don't get it. Your bias is making you think that the game's not going to do well. And then the game comes out and it doesn't do well. And you know what's funny? All of a sudden, you guys are all saying what I said last year. The game's not going to appeal to a lot of people. It's not going to have a lot of players. Like, we've just run all the way in a circle, and now you're saying what I said last year. Time is a flat circle. I said all this last year and was told that I was wrong. Time is a flat circle. Thank you, Keeg, for 42 months over there on Twitch. Have my Prime. I appreciate that, Keeg. Thank you. It's a niche game made with a AAA budget. I played the game. It's good, and the delays helped. It's Tarkov with 10 times the monetary investment. I don't know how much Tarkov cost. Here's the thing about Tarkov that people don't realize. Tarkov started really small and slowly built up to the player base that it has now. Marathon didn't start small and started building. It started like sort of okay, and it just declined ever since. It's a completely different trajectory for the game. You're right, the game is dead, so when's the funeral? I don't think the game is dead. I made a video just recently that said I think they have something in their corner that High Guard didn't have and that Concord didn't have. Marathon has time. They do. They're not dead. They've got time. They could make adjustments. They could do a big showcase. And a 5-bomb comes in from Sal, and he gets us a 10-bomb away from 250. Thank you so much, Sal. So, like, the discussion we were having is, like, this update this week, it's like they're moving the needle an inch when it needs to move a whole foot. Like, they are. They're moving towards new players. They're moving towards players that want to play friendly. There's a risk. I mean, think of how many people today said, skill issue, you got to get good, that's just an extraction shooter. They're defending the game as if, like, this is just what people should expect. You're right, if this guy let Rage quit in Marathon, he wouldn't hack it for 20 minutes in Tarkov. Okay. Steam player count check. They hit a record low this week of like 6,000 players at off-peak hours. Last night, off-peak got as low as like 8,000. So during off-peak time on Steam, they're dropping below 10,000. They're dropping below 10,000 players. Like, so it's even lower on console. So, like, you're going to get to the point where, like, off-peak hours, it's going to be more and more difficult to matchmake. Over more and more. That's the dilemma that you're facing. The dilemma that you're facing is you can do all these updates and you can do these cool things, but you're just eventually the game's going to struggle to function. So I've consistently said what they're going to need to do is something seismic, is something tectonic, where they get everybody's attention and they say, we're going to do this big thing, or we're going to shut down and be back in 3 months, or we're going to push for some 2.0. I think they could do that. They have time. They're not completely dead yet. Highguard and Concord had no shot. They had no time on their side. This game's got time. But that's what it's going to take. It's going to take something seismic. What should the fans be saying right now amid the criticism? I think if you're like a big fan of the game, I would say that you want certain things protected. Like you don't want people suddenly being able to get into cryo like it's nothing, or getting cryo loot like it's nothing. Remember I said this. This was one of my responses to people that were defending the game in the early days. You remember people were like, I said, the game's unwelcoming. There is no onboarding. The on-ramp sucks. And they were like, well, it's an extraction shooter. That's just how these games go. And if you remember what I said, I always said, the rest of the game can be like that. I said, like, your cryo archive can be like that. Your new map can be like that. Your introduction to the game doesn't have to be like that. So, if I was a big-time fan of this game, I would be like, you know what? If half of this game opens up, if half of this game is more approachable, and maybe even PvE is an option, and that gets more people, and more money, and more sales, then maybe that's what needs to happen. As long as this section of the game is protected. I always said that to the hardcore players. I'm like, why do you care if the first 12 hours in the game isn't miserable for somebody? What's it matter if the rest of the game's going to beat the tar out of them anyway? Thank you, Chrono, for the raid. And we have a hype train for some reason over there on Twitch. I don't know why. It started a hype train. I don't know why Twitch did that. Not going to lie, I'd be down for a cryo run with the ability to turn into an Exo Primal raid just for funsies. I'm not sure what an Exo Primal raid is. Thank you, Raven, for 24 months. 2 entire years on Purple. Thank you, Raven. And guys, I have a surprise for you. You guys have stuck it out today, and we beat the dead horse of Marathon one more time as a topic. But I've got something very, very exciting. We have a new, another segment that we're going to be going to momentarily. I'm going to be redirecting you, and you'll notice something on the channel. There's a scheduled stream. Crimson Desert, Masterpiece or Massive Letdown, featuring Eric Cuts for the win. Erica will be joining me for a podcast in just a few minutes. And I want to talk about Crimson Desert 1 month later. It's been a month since the game came out, and it was pretty polarizing. It was pretty controversial as a game. And so I was like, you know what? She's put a ton of time into it. She's been making content about the game for IGN. So I reached out and I said, let's do a show. Let's do a show about Crimson Desert. It's been out for a month. I've got some questions for her because I watched one of her videos today, and it literally felt like she was having a therapy session with herself, trying to understand why she liked it. It was really funny. So I hope you guys enjoy what we're about to do. Okay, we got more guests and more conversations and feelers out there for future content. Mike Diesel, thank you so much for 2 months and using your Prime. I appreciate it. Chrono says also Marathon update looks a little too late. They should have launched with the beginner stuff. I agree with you. Mike Diesel says only thing Xbox can do is put Game Pass on there 6 months after release, and then release PlayStation a year later. Just hit 5 million copies sold, by the way. Yeah, they just hit 5 million copies after a month. So they've had a very, very, very good start, a very good run. All right. So here's what we're going to do. All right. I'm going to send you guys over to YouTube for this. Well, no, I mean, Twitch, you guys can stay put. Let me quickly answer some questions. Just hang on. Let me just quickly do this. Your boy says, did you see projected sales of Starfield on PlayStation? It surprisingly doesn't look good, and I'm not quite sure what happened. And then Kino Mansky says, did you see that Windrose is almost as successful as Marathon? Pirate games are underrated, and they should be looked at by the industry. Yes, it certainly looks like that game is off to a great start. Okay? So here's what we're going to do. You guys on Twitch, you can't stay put because I'm going to need to create scenes and stuff, and I don't want to do that in front of an audience. I don't like doing that. So Twitch, I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to make this just for this afternoon. I'm going to make this a YouTube exclusive. I'm going to ask all you guys to come over to YouTube for this segment that I'm going to do with her, because I don't want to shut down and do a second stream on Twitch. There's already a lot of you anyway. And plus, we've been trying to do more on the YouTube channel with like extra segments and uploads and stuff anyway. So I'm going to ask Twitch for your help here. Head on over to YouTube. There's a link in chat. That's where the next stream is going to be. And you guys on YouTube, I'm going to redirect you. We will be live in just a minute. Bring the love, bring the likes, bring the heat. We're going to be talking about Crimson Desert, and I'll see you guys over there in just a moment.